Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
For this is what the Sovereign Lord says.
Why do you need prophets to tell people who you are and what you want?
If you can justify everything that the God of the Bible has done, then you can justify any of your behavior.
A lot of this mentality is trickling into what is now mainstream right-wing Christianity.
I am capable of empathy greater than this God of the Bible.
This is a Bible that they tell kids. This is the good Lord. This is the good book. He is fantasizing about murder, mass murder.
Head over to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com right now to find out how to leave us a review or support us on Patreon.
Hey there, sinners and saints. It's your favorite Bible-bashing duo from Sacrilegious Discourse, and we need your help.
That's right, folks. We're raising funds for some heavenly equipment and a studio that doesn't sound like it's in the depths of hell.
Our current setup, let's just say it's more apocalypse than audiophile.
So if you want to hear us dissect the Bible without the background noise of demonic squirrels, chip in a few bucks.
We're aiming for $5,000 to upgrade our audio and build a studio worthy of blasphemous banter.
Donate today and help us spread the good word of atheism.
You can find a link right on our homepage, sacrilegiousdiscourse.com. Every dollar counts.
Even if it's from your collection plate.
Did you know 1 in 2 women wear the wrong foundation? Matching foundation is hard, but Il Maquillage makes it easy. Take the Power Match quiz to find a perfect match in seconds, customized to your unique skin tone, undertone, and coverage needs. With 600,000 5-star reviews, Woke Up Like This is our best-selling foundation for a reason. Available in 50 shades of weightless natural coverage. And with Try Before You Buy, you can try your full size at home for 14 days. Just pay shipping. Take the quiz at ilmaquillage.com/quiz. That's ILMAKIAGE.com/quiz.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Husband!
Wife!
Do you even have a clue what the fuck we're doing tonight?
Finally not being too sick to do a podcast. And
Speak for yourself, but
starting a new book.
Yeah, we are starting a new book.
Yes. So what are we jumping into now?
We're jumping into a book that literally until like maybe 3 weeks ago, okay, I'll give you a month. I'll be generous. I never even heard of this. Like, I didn't even know it was a book because we're in the minor prophets.
The minor. Yeah.
Yeah, the way minor leagues.
Like, who the fuck's heard of these people?
This guy's name is Micah.
Got it. Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that was a guy in the Bible.
I did. I've heard, because you hear people talk about people's names and like, oh, that's from the Bible. And I've heard people say that before.
I believe you. So. I'm here to tell you, I don't know shit about shit. And there's only 7 chapters of this guy.
Yeah.
So I don't even feel bad.
No?
No.
I mean, there was less chapters of
Jonah.
Jonah.
There was only 4 of him, but
he was a bigger deal.
He got swallowed by a goddamn whale.
He did.
Or a big fish, depending who you ask.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think anything happens to this guy. I don't know.
Nothing, huh?
I mean, I have a little bit of an intro, but I think it's mostly like more of the same.
Got it. So
Micah, 7 chapters. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Okie dokie. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Micah, but listen, before I say any of that shit, I probably should tell you straight off, my voice is going to go from bad to super bad to probably non-existent worst.
So
okay?
We might not hear the words that are coming out of your mouth by the time we get done with this podcast.
Exactly.
Got it.
I apologize. Laryngitis hit me about a week ago, and then I felt fine, and then
you didn't.
Except then I started to get a cough, and I was like, "Wait, are you supposed to get a cough and then lose your voice?" But that's not what happened to me.
Right.
And
I think you got pummeled by like multiple different things at multiple different times.
Because then it was like I lost my voice, and then like 3 days later I got a cough, and then like 3 days later I had fever.
Right.
And I'm like, what the fuck? This is all in the wrong order.
Yeah.
Y'all are doing me wrong.
Right.
So I was sick. I'm on the upswing now. I feel fine, but my voice is still like, the hell you said. So I'm just letting that be out there.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Okay.
Here's the other thing. I still am not impressed with Micah because
I give wife shit all the time because wife always undersells every single podcast we ever start.
Like every time we get done with the intro, he's like, God, could you sound less excited? And I'm like, what? I'm just being honest. I'm just being authentic. Like, this is my impression. I'm telling, this is what I bring to the table.
The impression that you get?
This is the impression that I get.
Got it. Yeah.
It's the impression that yeah. Okay. I was just making sure that you knew that I knew.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know how else to be. Like, this is how I am. I did a little bit of research on this guy, and now I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it. And that's what this is, right?
No, I got it.
But sometimes you're like my co-host, and other times you're like the producer, and other times you're like the marketeer.
Yeah.
And so
you make my job, you make a lot of my jobs difficult.
Yeah. And
the majority of my jobs.
When you're my co-host, you're like, yeah, authenticity. Yeah, totally. But then, like, as soon as you put on any of those other hats, which you never take off, you're like, bitch, can't you just? And I'm like, no, I can't. I'm sorry. I always forget that I'm supposed to.
But you know what? Here's the thing. We're going to make it fun.
I mean, yeah.
We're going to have fun.
That goes without saying.
We're going to do this the best Micah fucking way we can.
Look, if you've been with us from the beginning or even partway through or even like just the last couple books, you know that my impression of the guy is part of the story, you know?
The impression of the person we're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Like my impression of...
I thought you meant God or, I didn't know what you were talking about.
The guy, the character, whoever we're talking about, my impression is part of the thing,
sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And my lack of ability to upsell, part of it.
What is your impression of Micah? What's Micah all about?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't know anything about this guy, so I'm going to intro a little bit. I'm not going to go too deep because we'll be covering them again very shortly when we do the wrap up because there's only 7 chapters.
Sure.
Okay?
Yep.
So, all right, this book records the sayings of Micah, Micah. That is all there is. Whose Hebrew name is Micah-yahu, meaning who is like Yahweh.
Okay, that's what it means?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's like Yahweh.
I'm sorry, I got lost in the silliness that was going on there.
That was Disney. I was seeing Micah Mouse.
Got it, Micah Mouse. Got it. Okay.
Or Micah-yahu. Because he's like Yahweh.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Micah was an 8th century BCE prophet from the village of Morsheth.
Seems like a lot of these minor prophets were from that same-ish time period.
Yeah.
Like those, the
earlier
700 to 800 BCE time
the
frames.
Earlier, and I'm like, no, we already did all that.
Right. It's weird because we kind of like in the Old Testament, you kind of end up going backwards at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't care for it.
I don't either. It's a weird transition.
It's a weird way to read. I feel like we're reading it wrong, and we weren't given instructions because the Bible doesn't come with instructions. And so you're just like reading it straight through because that's how books work.
Well, there's plenty of things out there that tell you how to read the Bible.
Okay, but you're supposed to just be able to pick up a book, right? That's the word of fucking God.
Right.
And it either speaks to you and says, read me in this particular order, which is not the table of contents. Or you read it the order that it is in, which is the table of contents. And it's the word of God, so it like moves you to understand, and your brain just like automatically shifts stuff around like fucking Tetris.
I think some people use it like a Ouija board. They just open it up to a page and like that's what I want to read today.
That's what I'm reading today.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, we read it like a book, you know, which it's a book. So
yeah, that's how you read books.
That's how you read, unless you are reading. I think it's Japanese books. Some Asian form of book. They read books in the opposite direction.
They do.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yes, I did.
I've read some manga, and boy, it took me a minute to figure that out.
Pretty sure it's Japanese.
Is it Japanese?
Yeah.
That's what I said. See?
Yeah.
So,
no, I was just
go
clear.
me. I didn't want to, like, I thought it was Japanese, but then I didn't want to be like, it's Japanese, and then be like, oh, fuck, what if it's other things too? Like,
well, it might be other things too. I don't know the answer to that one. So
I don't know. I know a lot of the manga comes from Japan and that I've read. Not that I've read a lot. So anyway, so Micah was from that same fucking time period of village of Morsheth, which is a town in southern Judah. And he lived during the reigns of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah around 750 to 700 BCE. Okay?
Yeah.
So this would have been during the period when, after a long period of peace, Israel, Judah, and the other nations of the region came under increasing pressure from the aggressive and rapidly expanding Assyrian Empire.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Because we're in the same thing we've been dealing with.
Yeah,
right.
I'm just telling you, make sure you know where we're at.
Yep.
Assyria still again.
Right.
Okay. In the book, Micah reproaches unjust leaders and defends the rights of the poor against the rich and powerful. So I really did undersell this because he is pulling some serious Jesus-like preachery and going, stop being bad leaders and oppressing the poor, you politicianal fuckfaces.
Right.
And
that's one thing I did like about the early, like the Exodus Bible and Leviticus Bible
stuff, yeah.
where they talked about the, treating the poor equitably. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a very good endeavor to seek out,
Well, those early laws were about treating the poor equitably. This guy is not just saying we should treat the poor equitably. He is actually yelling at the oppressors saying, you fucking suck, you pieces of shit.
Right.
So I didn't realize a lot of people in protests use the book of Micah. They use verses from the book of Micah when they are holding up their protest signs. They're cool. Stop being oppressive, you fucks.
Right.
Micah chapter or whatever.
Sure.
Okay. Because I'm sure it says that somewhere.
Sure.
Right? So he's reproaching unjust leaders and defending the rights of the poor against the rich and powerful while looking forward to a world at peace centered on Zion under the leadership of a new Davidic monarch. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the stuff that's like, there's where we get our Jesus fix.
This is in here, yeah.
Yeah. Many scholars accept that only chapters 1 through 3 contain material from the late 8th century BCE prophet Micah himself.
Okay.
Micah actual, if you will.
Right.
Micah prime.
Sure.
Okay. According to those scholars, the latest material comes from the post-exilic period after the temple was built in 515 BCE.
Okay.
So that the early 5th century BCE seems to be the period when the book was actually completed.
Got it.
So that's like a 250-year period, it seems like.
Yeah.
That they were collecting all this
period,
stuff.
It seems like there was a lot of things that were kind of finished.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
They
were doing a lot of uncovering papers and stapling them together and finalizing stories and figuring out what version they wanted to sell to the future and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So the first stage was the collection and arrangement of some spoken sayings of the historical Micah, the dude. Okay. Mm-hmm. And again, that's the material in chapters 1 through 3, in which the prophet attacks those who build estates through oppression and depicts the Assyrian invasion of Judah as Yahweh's punishment on the kingdom's corrupt rulers, including a prophecy that the temple will be destroyed.
My only issue with that is that it does also affect the poor.
Mm-hmm.
If God wants to punish the rulers, it doesn't seem fair that the people that, the Micah's standing up for here, also are going to get punished.
It's like he's saying, if you, President Trump, do not take care of the poor people in the poorest states of the United States, such as like all of the deepest red ones in the South, then God is going to smite you and all of those communities. Wait, what?
Right. Yeah.
That's not what? No.
Yeah.
That is not equity, sir. I don't think we understand languages.
Right.
Okay. So the prophecy was not fulfilled in Micah's time, but 100 years later, when Judah was facing a similar crisis with the Neo-Babylonian Empire, Micah's prophecies were reworked and expanded to reflect the new situation. Still later, after Jerusalem...
Hold on a second.
What?
Reworked and expanded.
What?
Okay.
That's how you do prophecies, isn't it?
You just fix them.
Yeah. You just rework and expand them to mean what you want them to mean.
It's a fancy way of saying we fixed it.
That's what the New Testament is.
We made it fit. We got it to work. Hey, look, guys, this works now.
Isn't that what they did with the New Testament?
I mean, it's what they did with it all.
Right.
You know, like this whole it's the same thing all the way through.
Exactly.
Nobody wrote any book like all themselves.
No.
There was influences from all kinds of different times and places and all kinds of stuff.
And even if somebody did ever write one all the way through, we're not reading that version today because those priesty dudes that sat around that fucking Nicene table or whatever, they got together and decided what's in, what's out.
Sure.
And changed everything up. So, yeah, we don't know shit about shit.
Right.
Still.
Yeah.
So, okay, blah, blah, blah. They reworked and expanded his prophecies to reflect the new situation with the Babylonians. Mm-hmm. And then still later, after Jerusalem fell to the Neo-Babylonian Empire, the book was revised and expanded further to reflect the circumstances of the late exilic and post-exilic community.
It's like they're just straight up admitting that it's basically a lie.
Yeah. Interesting, right?
It's not, this wasn't correct.
Yeah.
They fixed it twice.
They changed it.
Not once, but twice.
They didn't fix it. They changed it.
They changed it.
Yeah. They did some heavy editorials.
Right.
Like, yeah. I don't know how that works in your time, but where I'm from, that's called lying.
That's like, we've got, what is it? Everybody loves the Nostradamus predictions and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's like if somebody was like, hey guys, we fixed it. We fixed the Nostradamus predictions are correct because we fixed them.
Yeah, we changed.
Like, wait, what?
We changed the word shadow to mean airplane. What? That's not how that works.
But it's fixed, guys.
But now it works. But if you just change the words,
it's correct now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just change it to say what happened, then it says what happened.
Yeah, this is what happened, and he totally said that this is what happened because we changed it.
Yeah.
Because that's what he said. We made
it say what happened.
Right. So now it says it.
No.
And now it said it. And it said because it was said.
But stop. That's not like, that is so childish. Like, why can people not understand that? That's so childish.
This is like one of my biggest issues with the fucking Bible.
Right.
Like, really?
Yeah.
You're how is it that people that worship God don't know that this shit is just like changed? Like all it's been changed throughout time, and it's been reworked to fit different scenarios so that people can make it applicable to what they want it to be applicable to.
Because the stuff that I just read to you, that was all stuff that came from research.
Sure.
Not the Bible.
Right.
Everything that we just read, I got from research. It's nothing that you're going to find in the Bible. And Christians only read the Bible, and at that they only read assigned homework.
No, I get it. I mean I know why people don't know these things, but to have something this important be such a large part of your life and not care
enough
where
to
it came
read
from
it
or
further.
what the common consensuses are on things, it baffles me.
Well, toward that, it baffles me that you tell me this is the word of God and how important it is and not to blaspheme it or what the fuck ever.
Right.
But you haven't even read it.
You haven't read it, and moreover, you don't know anything about it, really.
Yeah.
Not on any real intellectual level.
Why am I taking this more seriously than you are? Why am I...
Right, yeah.
Like, why am I putting more time and effort into this than you are? That doesn't make any fucking sense. This is supposed to be the most important thing in your life.
Yeah.
And you don't really care enough, you're still going to eat the fucking donut and repent later, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start Micah chapter 1.
Okay.
Okay. The word of the Lord that came to Micah of Moresheth during the reigns of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah.
Okay.
The vision he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem. So that is what we are calling verse 1, that in other texts would be referred to as like the supra text.
Yeah.
Like an intro
to
explain what the chapter is.
Got it.
So now we're entering chapter proper.
Okay.
Hear you, peoples, all of you, listen, earth and all who live in it. Listen, you fucking earth. That the sovereign Lord may bear witness against you, the Lord from his holy temple. Look, the Lord is coming from his dwelling place. He comes down and treads on the heights of the earth. I hate it when he does that.
Right. But you know, depending on what part of the Bible you're reading, the dwelling place would have been like the ark, or you know, like there's the tabernacle, you know, or are they talking like, is this like, I question whether this was edited, right? Because like the idea of him living in the sky wasn't really an early Bible thing,
right?
It was a later Bible thing,
right? This says he's coming from his dwelling place. He comes down and treads on the heights of the earth,
right? Which makes me think they're talking about God in the sky.
Or the heights of the mountains, you know, the high places.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The mountains melt beneath him, and the valleys split apart like wax before the fire, like water rushing down a slope. All this is because of Jacob's transgression, because of the sins of the people of Israel. What is Jacob's transgression? Is it not Samaria? What is Judah's high place? Is it not Jerusalem? Therefore, I will make Samaria a heap of rubble, a place for planting vineyards. I will pour her stones into the valley and lay bare her foundations.
Because God loves killing people.
That's the funnest.
Yeah.
All her idols will be broken to pieces.
There's those idols again. They just never seem to go away.
They never go away.
Yeah.
Well, this is during the time.
This is earlier, right.
Yeah. All her temple gifts will be burned with fire. I will destroy all her images. Since she gathered her gifts from the wages of prostitutes, as the wages of prostitutes, they will again be used. Boom. Because of this, I will weep and wail. Weep and wail. I don't know. That sounds like a song, doesn't it?
Maybe. Yeah.
Weep and wail.
Right.
I will go about barefoot and naked. I mean, it's barefoot and naked.
Wait, God or Micah? Is this God talking? Is God going to be running around with his ding dongs sticking out?
I honestly don't know. I'm
just imagining God frolicking through, you know, dead people and barren lands.
Frolicking through dead people.
I mean,
and what I was imagining was barefoot and naked. So I was like, oh, thank God he's barefoot, because I can't imagine somebody being naked except for shoes.
That would be weird, right?
Right?
You know, it's okay. It's one thing if somebody's naked, right? That's weird. But if they're naked and wearing shoes,
right?
That's a whole other thing.
That is a whole other thing. I mean, it's like there's that whole understood joke about, you know, the guy who comes to bed naked except he's got socks on. Like, we all hate that guy. Don't be that guy. If you're going to be naked, be naked. Take your goddamn socks off. And certainly don't be naked but shoes.
Yeah. No, that's weird.
That's just dumb.
Yep.
Okay? I will howl like a jackal and moan like an owl. Yeah, you will. For Samaria's plague is incurable. It has spread to Judah. It has reached the very gate of my people, even to Jerusalem itself. I feel like
so that was God.
Was it God?
I think so.
Okay.
I think.
I don't know. I'm confused.
He's talking about, well, I mean, I don't know. I guess it could be either. I didn't follow the context close enough there to, so I apologize, but I'm hoping that it clarifies here soon.
Me too. I might have to go back and do a quick reread in my head and then clarify at the end.
Yeah.
Tell it not in Gath, weep not at all. In Beth Ophrah, roll in the dust. Rolling. Pass by naked. and in shame.
There's a lot of nakedness going on here.
You who live in Shapher.
Okay.
Those who live in Zanan will not come out.
No.
You know how they be.
Yeah, they just like stay in their house.
Right?
Yeah.
Beth Ezel is in mourning. It no longer protects you.
Yeah.
Those who live in Meroth writhe in pain, waiting for relief because disaster has come from the Lord, even to the gate of Jerusalem.
Oh, maybe this is Micah.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's Micah that likes to run around naked.
I think Micah wants to swing his ding-dong.
Right.
And he's like, and I take my shoes off, I'll have you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's referring to the Lord. So and we haven't changed.
Yeah.
Although the Bible's not perfectly clear about transitions on who's speaking either.
Yeah. It's very, very hard to follow.
Right.
You who live in Lachish, harness fast horses to the chariot. You are where the sin of daughter Zion began.
Oh.
For the transgressions of Israel were found in you.
Oh,
damn.
Wow.
Therefore, you will give parting gifts to Morsheth Gath. The town of Akzib will prove deceptive to the kings of Israel. I will bring a conqueror against you who live in Marishah.
This is very specific.
These are
very
geography driven.
Geography bound. Like it's quotes here. Like
he's like, fuck this town, fuck that town. Like, let's say it's the Dayton area, right?
Right.
He's like, fuck Miamisburg, fuck West Carrollton, fuck Moraine. He's like, I mean, I guess Centerville gets a pass, but not really. Fuck Springboro. I mean, just, fuck Troy, fuck.
And you're all fucked out there in Xenia. That's where it all started.
I mean, Yellow Springs, where Dave Chappelle lives, fuck that place.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I can't even with you.
Right.
He's just naming off various towns, and I'm only not familiar with any of them.
Because it's not really relevant. Like, and that we've talked about that too before. Like these things that they bring up with regard to geography and regard to
names that pass in the night.
Right. Yeah. They're very not meaningful to anybody reading it today.
Right.
And it just doesn't seem like if it was the word of God, it doesn't really feel like these things would need to be in there because they're not really
right.
It doesn't mean anything to most people today.
Right. Like, I'm not saying that you should make the towns be more relevant and current. No, what I'm saying is, could you, I don't know, maybe just not have so many of them that we don't know or
it should be more story driven instead of like geography or person driven, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, if it's the word of God, you should be conveying an idea and not geography.
Yeah, no, right? I totally agree. Because, like, there's that whole saying, you can't kill an idea.
Right.
The idea is what lives on. Sure. The idea of Christianity is what lives on. We don't give a fuck about the name of the people and the towns.
I'm not saying you can't never say a town.
Well, sure.
But in this context, where we're just listing off names of towns, it seems it takes us out of the story.
Right.
Right? Like, it takes you to, we're just listing off fucking places in Israel.
It's like, fuck this rock, fuck that ditch, fuck these trees. Like, okay.
I don't care.
Sure.
Right.
I guess.
Sure.
Like, that restaurant closed a few years ago, buddy. It's so funny. Like, I've lived in the Dayton area for 24 years now.
Yeah.
And since I have lived here, I have seen so many changes in stores and restaurants just in 24 years.
Well, yeah.
And just in the little area of Dayton that I've lived in, Yeah. Like this little, I don't know, like 40-mile radius, maybe? Mm-hmm. Would you call it?
Sure.
And there have been where you and I met was an international fucking chain store that is no longer open.
Right.
And a big one at that,
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just kills me, like, how much has changed in 24 years, and we're expected to give a shit about fucking towns that
in 800 BCE.
Yeah. Like, I can't even with this.
Right.
There was a place called Woody's.
Yeah.
That was already closed when I got here. And the only reason that I even know a little bit about it was twofold.
Yeah.
Okay. One is that in the little town where I lived when I first moved here, it extended over the road. So like the store is
it wasn't open.
Right. No, the building itself though.
The building. Yeah.
Had like a store on one side, and then it like if you went up to the second story had like this long tunnel or whatever building that extended over the road.
No, that was the third floor. Second story was a bookstore. Well, yeah, it was a bookstore.
I can't know what store it was.
Oh, yeah, because you never.
I never was on the inside, yeah. So like
it was closed down before you moved.
It's so cute that you're like, no, you have it wrong. I can't believe you're misremembering. And I'm like, I'm not misremembering. I've literally never been inside it. Second story, third story,
I have a lot
what the
of
fuck
close
ever.
ties to that place. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you grew up working there, and you had some family that worked there. So
more than that, but yeah.
Well, right. I wasn't going to go any further than that.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Yeah. So those are the only two reasons that I know about that fucking store.
Yeah.
Or whatever we call it. I think there was a restaurant with it. You said there was a bookstore with it.
No, the restaurant was what went over the road.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was you'd go like downstairs. There was like this. It was like a water wheel. Like as soon as you walk into the place, which was it was the first grocery store in the Dayton area to do 24 hours because they lost the keys one night.
I did not know that story either.
Yeah,
that is so funny.
Yeah, so that's why they became the first 24-hour grocery store in the Dayton area.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and then
they were like, "Fuck it."
But they had the grocery store downstairs, and it was like you had. It was great. I mean, there was just it was like a live market type place, you know. Mm-hmm. And then you go up to the next story, and it was kind of like a half story type thing. But there was a bookstore, and then you go up to the third story, and that was where the restaurant was, and that went over the road.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that one of the buildings is still open, but it's a liquor store now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure if that was.
There was a separate building that was added a little later.
Okay.
But it's still there now.
But it's not the same company or anything like that.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, there was part of the bakery that was in there is now they moved on to become what is now a locally famous cake place called LA.
Sure. Yeah. I'm never sure how to pronounce it.
I don't know.
I'm not sure how they pronounce
ELLE.
it. And I wouldn't say that they some of them worked there and then opened their own thing. Yeah.
It's the same people.
Some of the origins spring from that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it's locally famous.
That anybody gives a shit about the history of this grocery store or cake place in Dayton, Ohio.
Me telling all of our listeners about this boring geography, right? That is only barely not really meaningful to me, right? Somewhat meaningful to you because of your family history and childhood, right?
Yeah.
That is what the Bible is like, except without any kind of relevant person being excited about it.
Right.
Like, at least if you're listening, you can hear us, like, joking around and telling you, like, oh, and this was cool, and, oh, isn't it like that? Like, reminiscing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, at least there's that, right? So you weren't, if you're listening, you weren't totally, you might have been, like, bored, but not, like, bored.
Right.
Right? But, like, everything that I was just reading to you, that was not it. Okay, that is not how you do.
Right.
Like town, fuck that town. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to bring to the table here as a comparison.
Got it.
All right, so anyway, I will conquer against you who live in Marsha.
That's great.
The nobles of Israel will flee to Adullam. Okay.
That's where they're going to flee to, huh?
That's what's going to do.
Okay.
Shave your head in mourning for the children in whom you delight. Make yourself as bald as the vulture, for they will go from you into exile. The end.
When you're being conquered, what's the point of stopping to shave your head?
It's
like I don't get. I mean, I understand that it's a sign of you're distraught, right? And it's a sign that you're upset or something like that or whatever. There's some symbolism to it.
I don't think that it's just the distraught or just the being in mourning. I think it's also supposed to be giving yourself into it. Like, it's going through this motion. You know what I mean?
Got it.
Like, you put on the sackcloth and you sit in the dust, right? Because you're repenting. And that action is, I am doing this action because I don't want to have anything distracting me from my repenting, right? That's what the sackcloth is about, right? The sitting in the dust is because I don't deserve anything but dust, right? And so I think that the shaving of the head is like part of, I'm giving myself into the mourning, and this is what I am. This is what I'm doing now.
Got it. Yeah.
It's not just like a symbolic act, because that would be so shallow as to why bother. You could shave your head and then you did the symbolism, but tomorrow, like, you're still bald.
Got it.
So, like, you have to actually mean it when you're doing it. And that's what the big deal is. Sure. And
I looked it up I somewhat. And there's some sense of humility before God and and deep sorrow. And basically it's a physical manifestation of the humiliation that has happened to you and the defeat that has happened to you. And
it's another type of circumcision, if you will.
Sure.
You know, you're
laying yourself bare before
cutting
God
off a piece of yourself.
Yeah, right.
You know, to show that you're
sacrificing part of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I said. You're cutting off a piece of yourself, you know?
I guess that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I can accept that, I suppose.
I'm not saying I would ever do it, because I'm not that deep, I guess. Look, I have suffered tragedies, and I have done the big ugly cry, but my feeling and my crying is enough that I don't need an outward further show of it.
To be fair, there is something even in today's culture with regard to, like, when people tear out their hair or cut their hair in some sort of a mental breakdown or something like that symbolizes some sort of an angst or
like when Britney Spears did the whole bald thing.
No, like if you see someone that's like chopped their own hair off or something.
Yeah.
That symbolizes something to us, right?
Right.
Like there's some sort of something happened. Wow, what happened to you, man?
Right.
Like, you know, like that's
or like when a woman goes through a really hard breakup and comes out afterwards, like a few weeks later, and has a brand new hairstyle. Sure. It's not because she's like, you know, I ditched that dude and now I'm pretty. It's because she's like, I need something new in order to feel good about myself, because right now I feel like the ugliest, shittiest piece of shit. I'm lonely and I'm sad and something got to give. So,
sure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess changing your hair up.
I'm trying to be fair to the fact that, like, I'm not really, like, we get caught up in the language that gets used in the Bible, and it's the same things that they say over and over again. So some of it gets caught up in this whole traditional way of dealing with the mourning and dealing with these certain circumstances that feels too contrived in the Bible.
Right.
But there is some sense of actual symbolism to some of those actions, I think.
You're right.
So,
I mean, I've got a haircut after a hard time before to just try to feel better for a minute. Yeah. You know, something new.
Right.
It's kind of like that. The whole reason that New Year's is a great time for resolutions and stuff, because you've got the momentum of the fresh start. And that's what the haircut is supposed to be. Or like some people do like shopping as catharsis. You go shopping and, you know, you get a whole new outfit or whatever.
Right, right.
And you've got that whole like fresh start momentum going.
Yep. All right. Well, that was Micah Chapter 1.
Sure as fuck was.
Did you have anything else to add about Micah before we get out of here today?
Nope.
All right. Don't know what else to say. It was Micah.
Go cut your hair.
Yeah, sure.
Don't be in one of those towns.
No. Yeah, don't go in those towns.
Because you're going to get it.
Apparently.
If you didn't got it. I don't know.
All right. Hopefully we'll be feeling a little better by tomorrow, and we'll do another one. And so we will be back
with
probably
chapter
tomorrow
2.
with Chapter 2.
Yep.
See you then.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you know where we are?
We just got done starting Micah Chapter 1. So we did that yesterday.
Well, no, we actually finished Micah chapter 1.
Yeah.
We started the book of Micah.
We started the book of Micah. Right. Yeah.
I'm just trying to be precise.
Yes.
And also, I'm very excited because my voice is a little bit better tonight.
It is. You seem to be doing a lot better tonight. Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
So in Micah chapter 1.
Oh, yeah. What happened in that chapter?
Yeah. Well, Micah heard from God. God
sure he did.
Talked to him, apparently.
Sure he did.
That's the thing. And, there was a lot of cities that were going to feel the wrath of God, I think.
And like a wrath here, and a wrath there. Here a wrath, there a wrath, everywhere a wrath.
Yeah, and then Micah ran around naked.
I mean, he do like to swing that ding dong, though.
Yeah, I did look it up. It was symbolically Micah and or maybe the Israelites.
All of them naked.
All of them naked. Yeah,
it was a sausage party.
Maybe it was maybe a nude beach. Yeah. I don't know.
Whatever makes them happy.
We might go into that a little bit more in the Q&A, but there was
obviously.
So the nakedness was, there was more to it than what we were able to glean while we were reading it. So, but yeah, it was Micah and possibly the Israelites, depending on who you talk to.
I have to be so honest with you right now.
Yeah.
While I was reading chapter 1, my throat was so itchy.
Yeah.
And the material was so weird or whatever. I was not following any of it. I have no idea what happened in chapter 1.
I mean, that's why I just told you. It was basically, God talked to Micah and,
it's just sometimes your summaries, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But this time I was like listening with bated breath and I was like, they were naked?
They were naked,
I don't remember. Okay.
At least Micah. Well, anyway, symbolism. But yeah, nakedness also.
I like to be naked in my room by myself.
Yeah, right.
I like to be naked with the lights out and the curtains closed and
just be naked there
under the blanket.
Yeah,
hiding and crying in shame. Isn't that how naked works?
I think that's how most people do it.
Okay, just checking. All right.
All right. So we just got done with Micah chapter 1.
Sure as fuck did.
Which means that today we're going to be getting into
Micah chapter 2.
All right, let's do this.
Okay. Okay, I have to tell you something.
Do you?
Yeah. So at the end there, I normally go okie dokie.
You do.
But for whatever reason, I was like, okay. And
it threw me the fuck off.
I know. You looked at me like, who the fuck are you? And the answer to that question is that I do not know.
Sometimes wife just does not know where she is.
I don't know how to do the thing. Like
not like in a bad way, just like
I'm like, what do I do here? I've never done it before. Right. It's the first time ever.
Even though this is like probably our 1200th episode or something.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want it to be acknowledged that I am aware that I fucked that up. And this is how grown-ass adults move along. They acknowledge their errors and they learn from it and they grow and they try to okie dokie better next time.
That's right.
Okay?
Yep.
And I pity the fool when I am old, and I have dementia at you.
Well, hopefully that never happens.
I hope that my dementia sets in before yours, because I know that you come from a family of dementia heads.
I do, and I'm not going to be good. I more so than you worry about, I think that.
Yes.
And
I'm 2 years older than you, so, like, it's not in my favor. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm going to get it before you. I hope. But
I don't think anybody should hope for getting anything before anybody.
I don't want either of us to have dementia, but the odds are that we're both going to have dementia.
Why? Why do you think you're going to have it?
Because I already probably have it.
No.
Well, I mean, I can't think of words and I forget how to okie dokie. And instead I go, okay.
I'm not gonna put that as a no.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not allowing that. That's not a thing that's happening.
Well, if either of us has to have it, I hope it's me and not you. And if both of us has to have it, I hope I get it first.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
The Lord has spoken.
Is that what happened just then?
Woe to those who plan iniquity, to those who plot evil on their beds. It's fine to plant it on the floor. Just don't plant it on your bed.
Yeah.
Did you plant it on the couch? Did you plant it on the love seat? Did you plant it on the bed? Did you plant it on the floor? Did you plot evil on your bed?
Right.
Don't do it.
Weren't we just talking about how God was not equitable in his distribution of punishment by allowing for the poor who were shit on by the rich to get punished along with the rich when he destroyed things? Remember how he's going to destroy all those towns?
Remember how I forgot to pay attention?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we were literally talking about the inequity of that action based on how God was, speaking through Micah in this last chapter, because Micah was like, these rich people suck because of the way they've been treating the poor. So God's going to destroy these towns.
Including the poor.
Whoa, hey, what?
Yeah.
That's not, but now we're talking about he's shaming the people that treat people that with inequity. And I'm like,
so you.
Well, so yeah,
so
right.
You.
You're talking about yourself here.
Everybody sucks.
Yeah.
They just can't get this right.
No.
At morning's light, they carry it out because it is in their power to do it. The plot, the evil plot.
Against the people that they're not being equitable to.
They covet fields and seize them, and houses and take them. They defraud people of their homes. They rob them of their inheritance. Therefore, the Lord says, you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Yeah.
I am planning disaster against this people from which you cannot save yourselves.
These people, which he says,
this, I am planning disaster against this people, this community.
No. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But, he doesn't, okay.
Which includes the people that are already victims.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm getting at here. He's saying, you could interpret this maybe to mean, this specifically right here. To mean maybe just the rich people and the people that were treating the others with inequity, right?
I feel like that's how most people probably would.
Probably, right? Mm-hmm. But the last chapter
did not differentiate.
There was a differentiation between how he felt about the people that were poor versus the people that were treating the poor badly. But the punishment went across
the whole board.
The punishment was a destruction of the towns.
Yeah.
Right? Which doesn't leave a whole lot of room, in my opinion,
right,
for an equitable distribution of punishment.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to me how the God in this Bible and the prophets that are talking about this God talk about this disparity between the rich and the poor sometimes in some of these books that we've read, and how the rich are obviously bad in their distribution of land and wealth and how they treat the poor. So there's inequity, right? As we're saying here. I'm just using the words in the Bible, which they like this word, this book. So, but his punishment isn't metered out with equity either.
No.
So there is no, there's no distinction between the wrong and what the resolution to that wrong is.
He doesn't really come up with a good plan, to be honest.
No.
He's like, something bad happened and I don't know what the fuck to do to fix it, but my idea is everything is a nail because I have a hammer. So boom.
Right. No, and that's my problem here.
Yeah.
You can't complain about something that you're going to do yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how most of this God of the Bible, right? Most of his solutions end up being just fucking wipe them out. I'm just going to kill them all.
Just whatever.
I'm going to start over.
Look, it's the eternal whiteout.
Right. But he starts by saying, these specific people are shitty to these other specific people, right? Mm-hmm. My solution is I'm going to kill y'all.
All of you. Collectively.
Right. Because why not? Right? I'm God.
They were already victims anyway. What the fuck do they matter?
I don't really give a shit. I've said in the past I don't particularly like some of you.
Most of you. Yeah.
So, whatever. We'll just kill y'all and start over.
Honestly, if they were being victims, they probably had it coming anyway. They just weren't praying hard enough or whatever, however that goes.
Yeah, that's probably what's wrong.
When you get born on the wrong continent or to the wrong family, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
That happens to you.
Indeed.
And you brought it as a baby upon yourself.
Right.
Okay. So therefore the Lord says, I'm planning disaster against this people from which you cannot save yourselves. You will no longer walk proudly, for it will be a time of calamity. Calamity Sam.
Mm-hmm.
In that day, people, people will ridicule you. They will taunt you with this mournful song. We are utterly ruined. My people's possession is divided up. It's a song. He takes it from me. He assigns our fields to traitors.
Is it actually a song?
He said, I will taunt you with this mournful song. And then I sang the words that are there.
Okay. No, I somehow I missed that bit.
Got it.
But
you thought I was just singing for no reason?
That was a great rendition there. I thought, like, platinum gold right there. That was good stuff.
Look, you ain't got to make fun. I was just having a good time with it.
No, I was having a good time.
I imagine that's how... Fuck off. I imagine that's how God sounds.
That's fair.
Right?
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can get down with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Therefore, you will have no one in the assembly of the Lord to divide the land by lot. Boom. Ha ha.
Oh, okay.
Do not prophesy, the prophets say. Do not prophesy about these things. Disgrace will not overtake us.
Hold on a second here. We're literally reading a prophet talking to God, and God is telling this prophet not to prophesy.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
God is saying, okay.
Yeah. Hold on. I need this breakdown here. Yeah. I need this breakdown.
Yeah. Micah is saying that God is saying that the other prophets are saying, don't prophesy against us, Micah and God.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So God is like, they're being such whiny piss ants.
Okay.
And Micah's like, God says that they are being such whiny piss ants.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, that was a lot of like...
He said.
Right, yeah. Right. But it also, it makes more sense now that you said it. And you kind of explained it better than I heard it.
Right.
So...
Well, my throat is less itchy tonight, so I can pay better attention.
Yeah, no, that's good.
What's happening.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I find, like, there's a lot of bickering between, obviously, some of the prophets, they've made it into the Bible, right? And they're going to get the final word because we can't go back and interview people 2,000 years ago.
Right.
I wonder if there was, like, a lot of, like, talk back then about, hey... Stop prophesying against me.
Yeah.
Don't stop being an asshole. Don't. Maybe that was just like a thing between
prophets,
groups of prophets.
I'm gonna prophet against you. You better not. I'm gonna tell the governor person. Oh, you better not tell him because I'm gonna tell God or whatever. I'm gonna prophet. You know what? I saw that you ate the wrong food yesterday. How do you like them apples? Boom. Right. Prophecy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I like to imagine that this is happening as a puppet show. Because that's the only way it can make sense for Micah to be like, or any prophet to be like, and then I go, and then God goes, and then this is God talking as me to me, and then this is me talking to God, and then now hold on, everybody pause. This is me talking outside of this, okay? Right?
Yeah.
We need props.
Oh, yeah. No, okay. That would definitely make this better.
Right.
If somebody was like, just showing me what's happening, like, it would make this... I would love to like work with an animator or like so like I could be like, okay, we need to figure out what's happening here.
Okay.
And you need to show it. And then we're going to talk as we're going to read this and I'm going to be like, oh, that.
Okay. So we're casting Micah right now. Is Micah a Cabbage Patch doll or a Transformer or like one of the G.I. Joe guys?
No, he's got to be a Thundercat.
Is he a Thundercat?
That's what I'm picking.
Why? That's so tough. I don't think Micah deserves to be a Thundercat. Thundercats are awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thundercats are way too awesome. Micah ain't no Thundercat.
You're right. Okay.
You sully the mouth of Thundercat.
All right.
I said mouth, but I meant house.
Yeah, right.
You sully the house of Thundercat.
Yeah. All right. So maybe
he's a Ken.
Maybe he's more like
he's a Ken doll.
Okay,
he's not even Ken. He's one of the off-brand Kens.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do not prophesy, said off-brand Ken, quoting the other prophets. Do not prophesy these things about us. Oh, disgrace will not overtake us.
Okay.
Now I think he's either being himself or he's talking as God now. Okay. I'm not sure which. You descendants of Jacob, should it be said, does the Lord become impatient? Does he do such things? Do not my words do good to the one whose ways are upright? Lately, my people have risen up like an army. You strip off the rich robe from those who pass by without a care, like men returning from battle. You drive the women of my people from their pleasant homes. You take away my blessing from their children forever. Get up, go away, for this is not your resting place, because it is defiled, it is ruined beyond all remedy. If a liar and deceiver comes and says, I'll prophesy for you plenty of wine and beer, that would be just the prophet for this people. That sounded so snarky.
No, but I kind of like it. Like we had discussed early on that this is kind of he's prophesying against the rich and the powerful, right? Mm-hmm. And I like the message. And if you take it in the sense that this is a political message and not a message from God,
right?
Which the way I read it, the way I am taking the Bible, generally speaking, as we're kind of going through it, because it reads this way, is that they kind of use God as a political puppet, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're looking at it from that stance, he's invoking God to say, you rich people suck. You're treating these poor people like crap. You're doing these things. You're ruining their lives. You're doing all these things wrong. I kind of like that message.
And like, he's like, and God doesn't like it. And he's going to get you.
But that's almost, at some level, is almost beside the point, right?
Right.
Like, this is Micah saying, you asshole rich people need to stop treating the people who are lesser than you with regard to, means. You need to stop treating them shitty.
It's almost like he's Aerosmith singing that badass song, Eat the Rich.
Yeah.
Such a good song.
I mean, you go in Robin Hood, right? Like, steal from the rich, whatever. I kind of like this. We're not quite to the steal from the rich, take, give to the poor thing.
Still.
But the message is very, we the people, we the people. We need to stand up and fight this injustice, right?
Yeah. We are only as great as our weakest link.
Right.
United we stand, together. No, wait. What is it? United we stand, together we fall. No. Right. Together we fall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very democratizing as far as the way this, but just there's God over there too.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah,
I like this message.
Me too. It's a good.
Generally speaking, leave out God.
I love anybody who stands up for the oppressed.
Yes.
I mean, that's always a good
probably
message.
Why this is people invoke this as you had mentioned it earlier. People invoke this at
an oft quoted book from which oppressed people at rallies and protests wave their signs. Yeah. All right. If a liar and deceiver comes and says, I will prophesy for you plenty of wine and beer, that would be just the prophet for this people. I will surely gather all of you, Jacob. I will surely bring together the remnant of Israel. Wait, what?
Okay.
Now he's back to, I'm going to fuck all your shit up, but don't worry, there will be a remnant.
Right.
I will bring them together like sheep in a pen, like a flock in its pasture, like a lollipop on a stick. The place will throng with people.
Okay. The people that he decides that are going to make it through this.
The remnant.
Yeah. Okay.
The good grapes, not the squished raisins.
Which I guess you could make a case for he's not punishing the wrong people if you...
For the meek shall inherit the earth. Wait, no, that's Jesus in the New Testament.
Right,
Hold on, never mind.
But still, you could take this remnant portion here to maybe say he's punishing just the right people.
Sure,
right?
Let's hope. The one, capital O, one, who breaks open the way will go up before them. They will break through the gate and go out. Their king, capital K, will pass through before them. The Lord at their head. The end.
Jesus.
Is that Jesus? Oh, Jesus.
No, I just had to say it that way because it does definitely ring of Jesus, right?
It does definitely ring of somebody came back and read this and put a Jesus in there.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, obviously we read this from a Christian Bible. It is the Old Testament, right? But the way where this is in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, and again, I don't know that it matches up exactly in fact, I think in the Jewish texts, it's earlier we had discussed at some point.
I honestly don't remember.
But regardless, it's not going to be in exactly the same place. Right. It's interesting, the placement. It's interesting, the wording. It's interesting what they chose to leave in this book and emphasize with the king and this definitely does feel like it was, if not changed, maybe manipulated a little. Yeah. Yeah. So, but I'm going to go back to I like the message. Sure. And I think that this Micah character, as far as the Old Testament is concerned, so far he's all right.
Somebody read the Pentateuch.
He's all right in that he's standing up for the poor and the oppressed. Right?
It's giving Leviticus.
It's what?
I was being a young person who is speaking of the energy that it is giving off.
Oh,
and I was saying, it's giving.
Oh, yeah. The old wreck when they were standing up for poor people and, things like that. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Sorry. I was slow.
You were being an old guy.
I was.
And I was being a young.
I was totally a Bible boomer.
And then I had to explain it to you, which then made me be old.
Yeah.
And now I kind of want to die a little bit on the inside.
Well, I'm sorry. But that was, I enjoyed that chapter.
I did too.
Overall.
Insofar as. Sure.
Yeah.
It's still not as good as the Book of Jonah.
No.
I'm sorry, but the Book of Jonah, that book slaps.
I guess I was just thinking most of the way through of how it resonated with ideas that I have about how rich people kind of treat people today.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that message. Obviously, the God shit, it can take it or leave it, for as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But the message I liked. So that was a decent chapter, I think.
Yeah.
As they go.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I mean, no rape. Hells.
Right? That's a win.
I mean, small victories, baby.
Yeah. No mass murder. No. Exactly.
I mean, we only discussed it.
We discussed
the smiting.
Implement it, right? Yeah, so that's a win too.
Sure.
Overall, it's I'd say I never get more than like a 6 or a 7. So we'll go with that was like a 4. It's not a 1. It's not a 0. It's not a negative.
I honestly, I would have said it was a good 5.
I was saying on a scale of 1 to 6 or 7.
Oh, I
said I would never on any book in the Bible. I would never go higher than a 6 or 7.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I was saying.
Okay.
So
I didn't follow
that
you
scale,
that time.
Where I would never take any book in the Bible that I've read.
Then
thus far.
It was definitely a solid 4.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Totally. So
that would mean that Jonah was the 7.
It was right up there. Yeah.
It was a good book.
Yeah, there were some chapters.
The wrap up was better.
Yes,
than the chapters.
Because it lent a lot more knowledge to that book that we had just read.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped.
It brought it home.
Yeah. It brought it from a 6 to a 7.
You know what? I agree with that assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're not in Jonah.
No, I'm sorry.
In fact, what we just read was
Micah chapter 2. Sorry, Micah. I didn't mean to diss you there, bro.
Right. Yeah. I was so good. Jonah was so good, it usurped Micah.
I know.
That's probably Micah's problem here. It was he followed up Jonah.
I mean,
you don't want to follow up the main
belly of the whale.
You don't want to follow up the main ticket.
No.
You want to precede.
You want to open for the band. You don't want to then close after the band.
Right. No. That's just like a fizzle.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be the closer.
No one wants to fizzle out.
No.
Right.
No.
So anyway. That was Micah chapter 2.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that tomorrow we'll be back with...
I don't even know. What is happening? Wait.
Micah chapter 3.
Well, hold on.
Okay, I'm holding.
It's the weekend. Are we... I don't know.
This is coming out on a Sunday.
Oh, is it?
Because we're kind of off.
Oh, see, I couldn't remember what today was. And then I couldn't remember... after that, when this would be coming out.
We fell so far behind that I'm just trying to
start over.
Yeah, we're just kind of resetting here.
Then yes, we will be back tomorrow with Micah chapter 3 and just pretend I never said anything else.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you know where we are and how the hell we got here?
Well, we are a bit behind this week because of holiday sicknesses and all kinds of things. We keep having the best of intentions of doing episodes, but we never get to them.
Ever.
And so we're going to endeavor always to do better.
We always
endeavor to do better.
Yeah.
The question is whether we actually are able to. And sometimes we are. Most of the time we are. Just this month has been like kind of crap for us.
But I mean, it's December, whatever.
It is. I think we get a pass in December,
right? We get a pass in December. And anyway, we always come back.
We do. Yeah. So here's to us coming back.
Woohoo!
And the last time we were reading Micah Chapter 2.
That is correct,
yes.
My good sir.
And in that chapter, Micah was condemning the wealthy and the powerful. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yo, you guys suck. And we were like, that's kind of cool. Because, we the bringing the lower class up is always something that we've kind of liked, in life itself and in the world itself. Yeah. And it's nice to see it reflected in the Bible. Mm-hmm. But there was the bit where he was condemning the other prophets, and we were like, whoa, hold on a second now. How are these people supposed to know the difference? Like, this is another argument we've had throughout the Bible.
Yeah.
How are they supposed to know which fucking prophet to listen to?
Right.
And that's prophet, never clear.
Like, God does not make them glow or something. Like, you'll know the ones because they will glow. The other ones are totally false. Don't listen to those fuckers.
Yeah, there is no, indication that this is the correct prophet. You just have to apparently be right. And to me, it's a lot like the multitude of choices between different churches.
Denominations.
That we have today.
Right.
Like, how the fuck is anyone supposed to know that their version of God is the correct version of God?
You're just supposed to pick and know.
It's not like God's coming down and telling people.
Nope.
You just have to believe the people that taught you that it was the right thing.
Whichever ones.
And that seems like bullshit to me.
Just get lucky and be born in the right place.
Anyway, bullshit aside, we just got done with Micah Chapter 2. Mm-hmm. And that means that today we're getting into
Micah Chapter 3.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. Okay, let's hop into Micah Chapter 3.
Okay.
Did you like my "Let us go," my matronly voice?
Yeah, it was great.
I don't know why I did it.
I don't either. I never know half the reasons that you do the things you do sometimes.
Well, I never know either. It's as much a surprise to me as it is to you.
Every episode is what are we going to get from wife today?
It's true.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, what's going to come out of my mouth? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
it's a surprise for everybody.
That matronly voice came out and I tried it on and you know what? I didn't care for it much.
No.
I'm not going to do that one again. unless a voice calls for it.
Right. Yes.
Like a part.
Of course.
Because we've got speaking here.
Sure.
Starting Chapter 3.
Okay.
Then I said, but it's a dude, so I can't go like this.
Right. Yeah, that wouldn't work.
Okay, so Mike is speaking.
Okay.
Goes, then I said, listen, you leaders of Jacob, you rulers of Israel. So he's talking to the leaders.
We're okay. So
the bosses.
Back to talking to the powerful people.
Should you not embrace justice, you who hate God and love evil, who tear the skin from my people and the flesh from their bones?
Jesus.
Who eat my people's flesh, strip off their skin and break their bones in pieces, who chop them up like meat for the pan, like flesh for the pot.
What?
What? Okay, yeah.
They're are we literally cooking people?
He's alluding to, more than alluding, he's straight up talking about cannibalism.
Yeah.
But I recall in the notes that this was just an allusion to cannibalism being symbolic for them cannibalizing God's word.
Okay.
But when we do our Q&A, I will cover that better because it's been like a week since I prepped this. So
right.
I remember it saying it's not actually cannibalism and that it is just an allusion to cannibalizing something. And I believe it was God's word.
But I have to interject here because to me, with regard to how some of the literalists of the Bible, that read the Bible literally, right?
I'm like, so they were literally cannibalizing, huh?
Well, but they would attribute this to probably heathens, right? So this would be something that heathens do, cannibalistic behaviors, eating other humans and chopping them up in bits, right?
Yeah.
So this is part of the reason that atheists and secular people and people who don't belong to their type of religion are viewed with such evilness, right? They think literally these people would eat them. Right. Like this, and it bothers me. Like, I'm like, what? You actually, really think that shit?
But you know what? If you actually read this, you would see that it's not the heathens. It's the leaders of Jacob, the rulers of Israel.
Right.
That are doing the eating of the people.
But they wouldn't. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I get it, but they're not gonna attribute that much thought to it because they're doing things that are not within the realm of what God wants. Yeah. So they're still gonna view those people as heathens.
And I'm like, well, regardless of whether they're the leaders of, but they are your people, not mine. You know, your people are doing some weird shit over there,
but
and I don't belong to that group.
By the time we get to Christianity, those people are no longer quote unquote their people.
Well, they ain't my people
they're
either.
Jewish, you know, so like they're not exactly their people.
No, and that does have that whole anti-Semitism argument of Jewish and like the goblins eating the babies and stuff. Like that's where a lot of those grotesque tropes come from.
And that's all I was saying is that this visual representation of what's happening, even though it's symbolic of something else, people who are reading this literally are going to take this a different way.
They're like, no, cannibalism really happened. Those gross people eat people.
And that's the part that bothers me. Yeah. Right? Like, because there is this sentiment among literalists of the Bible that these evil things that they're talking about symbolically really are happening or really did happen or probably really will happen from people that don't believe in their God. Right? Yeah. And that is disturbing to me.
Like, you really think that folks just going around eating people?
But they do. I know. Right? Like, I don't think that's a far stretch it's not. For us to make, because I've heard people talk in similar ways about people who are not godly.
No, it's true, because I had also heard these people talking about, like, when they thought that, like, a child pedo ring was happening, like, in the basement of that pizzeria, right? Right. Like, but they really legitimately thought that. Yeah. You know, like, they were not fucking around. They actually believed that without a doubt. Yeah. And, like, they legitimately think that people like the Clintons are part of this secret cabal who gather in the dark and eat babies. Right. Like, they literally believe that.
And that's why this bothers me, because the Bible is taken so many different ways. And yes, it can be interpreted a million different ways, right? And that's fine until you get to bits where people believe this so much and take it so literally as to be absurd and then apply it to today and how they interact with people who are not part of their group. Right. Right.
And I'm like, you guys, I'm like friends with the people that you are accusing of eating babies. Yeah. Like, do you think I eat babies?
Well, and that's where I would, like, if I'm talking to somebody and I actually do end up, it ends up in some realm of this type of, like,
the baby eating thing, right?
I'm like, so just so you're aware, you know, we've been talking this whole time. What do you think of me? And then when they tell me, I'm like, well, I don't believe in any of that stuff. So how does that affect
where do I fit in?
Right. I love asking that question, because it's just like, this is so absurd, guys. You think that, I mean, you have to believe, if this is the case, you have to believe that there are so many people you meet every day that are just walking around eating babies. Yeah. Like, or people or whatever.
And I'm like, so do you actually think that I go home at night and I just have, like, a stack of babies in my basement?
What a weird world to live in.
Right?
Right?
I just got this, you know, deep freezer in my basement full of extra babies.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
out
like,
for dinner and throw it in the crock pot.
The person that believes this, that's just such an odd, weird, crazy world to believe that exists out beyond your
and for household. Them, like, that's a normal thing. They're like, well, yeah. And I'm like,
that's the part that always disturbs me.
Like, where do you think all of these babies come from that we collect?
Right.
And that we collectively eat.
And I know that the normal Christian doesn't believe this, right?
No.
I'm just saying that there is...
But there's a large group of weird Christians who do believe
much
this.
Too large for my liking.
Yeah.
So...
And they're the ones that are like slowly getting into leadership positions.
That's the part that I'm like, wait a second, let's slam on the brakes here, guys.
Yeah.
We need to stop.
Yeah. When you start having like flat earthers and people who believe that there are Jewish space lasers coming down.
Shit's going too far.
Like, come on. No.
It's not okay.
We need to start over. Y'all got to get your shit straight. We need to go back to like second grade, all of us, and learn our maths and our ABCs and, the round earth and the globe. And remember when school was fun?
Edumacation, you know? Need some of that.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, continuing, Micah's like, then they will cry out to the Lord, but he will not answer them, because...
because
they're eating babies.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Right.
At that time, he will hide his face from them because of the evil they have done. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be like, God. And God's like, nah.
I can't imagine eating a person, a baby or anything.
Right.
And being like, I'm sorry, God. Like, you've gone way too fucking far at that point.
Like, this isn't like, I put a tack on my teacher's chair.
Right.
No, this is, I killed and ate an entire human. I'm sorry, though.
Yeah.
God, I need help. Can you help me find my keys?
Like
No, I cannot help you find your fucking keys, you cannibalistic fuck.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
This is what the Lord says.
Okay.
As for the prophets who lead my people astray, they proclaim peace if they have something to eat, but prepare to wage war against anyone who refuses to feed them. Therefore, night will come over you without visions and darkness without divination. The sun will set for the prophets and the day will go dark for them. The seers will be ashamed and the diviners disgraced. They will all cover their faces because there is no answer from God. So, okay, this is what I think he's saying with regard to they proclaim peace if they have something to eat, but prepare to wage war against anyone who refuses to feed them.
Right.
He's talking about like fair weather friends.
Yeah, no,
Like he's saying like basically it's easy to be a fan of God and goodliness while things are easy.
Right.
And people are on your side and supporting you. But the second that people turn against you or things get hard, then you start waging war against them.
But this takes me out of the whole. So, like, basically what I'm hearing here is that these prophets were okay as long as they were in good times, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, there was an agreement and there was peace and there was good things happening, right? Mm-hmm. And so all the prophets are like, yeah, we're all on the same page with regard to what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And then things get hard and suddenly everyone has differing opinions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're telling me that God talks to these people correctly during the good times, but now he's going to go dark on them, and he's not going to talk to them when things are bad because they choose the wrong path according to this. But if God was talking to them and telling them the correct path, then it seems to me that they would go with that.
No. I think you're misunderstanding.
Okay.
God is talking to them straight through, right? And while it's easy for them to listen to God while things are good and everything that God tells them, like, yeah, God, that tracks. Thank you. Those are great words. I love that. That's easy.
Yeah.
Then they're like, fine, I'll totally tell God's word. But the second God asks them to do something hard or tells them hard times are coming, they change the message.
Got it.
And start delivering false words because nobody wants to hear hard words.
So why is God talking to prophets that are willing to change their mind?
That is my question.
Right.
Because when I was reading the notes, I was like picking this up and I was like, hang on. So what I'm getting out of this is that there are literally false prophets. There are prophets who are hearing God's word and are spewing bullshittery instead of God's word.
Right. And my understanding earlier on in the Bible, when we were talking about, like, you remember those 80 prophets that kind of spoke up back when Moses was around or something like that? Like but prophets back then were very selective.
Yes.
Right. It was a very intentional picking from God. And you would think that kind of mentality would push forward through time where God is picking the correct people.
Particularly now that we have kings instead of priests being the leaders.
Otherwise, prophets kind of lose some of the zing, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're just not as meaningful if you are picking prophets as a god.
Yeah.
And those prophets end up being false prophets because they won't spread your message for you correctly.
Yeah.
So if they're a prophet, the people are like, oh, they're a prophet, right?
Yeah.
But if they spread the wrong message, how the fuck are they supposed to know that they're spreading the wrong message if they're still a prophet?
Right. And that's the thing. Like, so there are a bunch of people out there all hearing God's word. They're all prophets.
Right.
But only some of them are telling the correct message.
Right. And again, this is all in canon based on like there is a God talking to these people thousands of years ago.
Yeah, I don't really believe that there was a God talking to them.
Right. But like if that were the case, why would God allow for this at all?
Exactly.
It just doesn't seem correct.
No.
And that's that same question. It's a persistent question we've had about how and why people should believe certain prophets.
Well,
right?
see, I always thought that false prophets were people making shit up that they never heard from God.
That could apply too.
Right, but
that's not how it's described.
But yeah, how it's described is that, oh no, if somebody calls themselves a prophet, they truly are hearing from God.
Right.
It's just a matter of what message they're spreading.
At least according to this book right now. So yeah. But that's part of the.
But that's happened in more than one book, though.
Sure,
that's happened in more than one book. That we've got people that are totally hearing from God, but the message that they spread is not necessarily the message that God wants them to spread.
Right, right.
And that's what makes them the false prophet.
And that's problematic.
That's really fucking problematic.
Hypothetically, God is very choosy about who He talks to.
Well, and you know their heart, don't you?
Right. Yeah.
You've told me that more than once, God.
Not only that, but He can change their heart because He has done that before.
So I'm like, what are you up to? Right. What are you doing over there, God?
Why are you allowing false messages?
Yeah. Why are you letting liar faces mislead people and then getting mad that the people
are being misled?
Yeah.
Right.
You're mad at the people for believing the guy that you allowed to hear your word and misspeak.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
I agree.
I don't blame the prophet so much as I blame God.
Sure.
For allowing that prophet to be a fuck.
If we're going with that, yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So God sucks. God's a dick.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, just thought I'd put that out there. Right. You know? All right. So anyway, Micah continues speaking for God. But as for me, I am filled with power, with the Spirit of the Lord. Oh, no, this is Micah speaking for himself.
Got it.
I have power. I'm filled with the Spirit of the Lord and with justice and might to declare to Jacob his transgression, to Israel his sin. Okay. So he's like, I'm telling the people, y'all suck.
Right.
Hear this, ye leaders of Jacob, ye rulers of Israel who despise justice and distort all that is right, who build Zion with bloodshed and Jerusalem with wickedness. Her leaders judge for a bribe. Her priests teach for a price. And her prophets tell fortunes for money. I love that sentence. Yeah. That is such a good sentence. I'm going to read it again.
I like it too.
Her leaders judge for a bribe. Her priests teach for a price. And her prophets tell fortunes for money. Yet they look for the Lord's support and say, is the Lord not among us? No disaster will come upon us. Therefore, because of you, Zion will be plowed like a field. Jerusalem will become a heap of rubble. The Temple Hill, a mound overgrown with thickets. The fucking end.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's all on you false prophets. You're causing us to all be destroyed because you are spreading false prophecies.
Yeah. Not only that, but let me pull this up here. But there was a note about this being quoted again in Jeremiah.
Okay.
I believe.
Really?
Yes. 100 years later.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah. Hosea was ignored, and so was Amos. The people threw Jeremiah in jail for his prophetic message of coming judgment. In contrast, King Hezekiah and the leadership of Judah listened to the prophet Micah. Now, we're not really there yet.
Not there yet, yeah. Okay.
He was heard and a revival followed. Then, 100 years later, his words were still remembered, and the memory of what happened earlier was used by God to spare the life of Jeremiah. Now, I'm going to read Jeremiah chapter 26, verses 17 through 19, and they will very much sound a lot like what we just read.
Okay. Yeah.
Some of the elders of the land stepped forward and said to the entire assembly of people, Micah of Moresheth was prophesied in the days of Hezekiah, king of Judah. He told all the people of Judah, this is what the Lord Almighty says. Zion will be plowed like a field. Jerusalem will become a heap of rubble. The temple hill, a mound overgrown with thickets. Did Hezekiah, king of Judah, or anyone else in Judah put him to death? Did not Hezekiah fear the Lord and seek his favor? And did not the Lord relent so that he did not bring the disaster he pronounced against them? We are about to bring a terrible disaster on ourselves.
I see. Okay.
So, and I do remember now reading that, and that is what bought Jeremiah's life.
Got it. Okay.
He was quoting what we are now reading.
Got it.
Interesting, right?
It is. It is. Yeah. So we obviously can never go back to see how this all panned out in real time, but it is interesting because it seems like this is like kind of a growing tome of lore, right?
Yes.
So this Micah character obviously was part of the discussions back in those times.
Yeah.
And it carried through to hold weight with leaders of this period 100 years later.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
It is.
It's interesting in the regard that these had such sway. These sayings, these books, these texts had such sway that they were regarded in such a way that somebody could invoke it and change things.
That is
change the way
amazing
people
to me, because it's not like they had like community bulletin boards or fucking Facebook.
Right.
You know what I mean? That makes it all the more powerful that somebody was able to, like you use the word, invoke these words.
Right.
That somebody else had spoken 100 years before.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's really cool to hear the tie-in. I appreciate that. So that's nice. It did give us a little foreshadowing as to what maybe is going to be happening in this book.
But we already knew that because we've already read some of the other fucking people in the future.
If I would go back and think about it,
right.
or like if we went back and restudied it, I'm sure we could probably come up with that. But I don't recall that here and now as we're sitting here reading Micah.
Right, but I'm not giving us anything that we shouldn't already know.
Right, I got you.
Having already read
Fair enough.
past this.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I felt okay reading that part.
Because we've already essentially covered it at some point.
The time,
right,
yes.
Right. All right. Well, that was Micah Chapter 3.
Sure as fuck was.
And we are going to try to be back tomorrow with
Micah Chapter 4.
All right. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Will full coverage make me look cakey? Is my undertone neutral or is it cool? We get it. Finding the right foundation is hard. But with Il Makiage, it's easy to find your perfect match online. Customized for your unique skin tone and coverage needs. Plus, with Try Before You Buy, you can try your full size at home for 14 days. With over 600,000 five-star reviews, this best-selling foundation is going viral for a reason. Take the Power Match quiz now at ilmakiage.com/quiz. ILMAKIAGE.com/quiz.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Husband!
Wife!
Do you know where we are?
We are in Micah. And we just finished chapter 3.
Sure as fuck did.
And in that chapter, Micah was talking about how the rulers and the prophets suck, kind of.
How they be oppressing.
Yeah, they're doing bad shit, I guess. But then
he's like, eat the rich.
Yeah, there was some of that, but it was a lot of, denouncing the false prophets.
Yeah.
And so we had a large discussion about how the fuck do people know what a false prophet is?
Right. And is a false prophet somebody who hears God's words and then just decides to say whatever the fuck he wants to say? Or is a false prophet somebody who doesn't hear any words and just makes shit up? Or is a false prophet somebody who hears words, but they're from the devil and says that shit.
Sure. Yeah, all those.
Right?
But
like what's a false prophet?
But at that, it doesn't really matter because how is any person supposed to decide who is the correct one and who's not?
Right?
If they're all saying they're fucking prophets, like we've said before, there's nothing distinguishing one prophet from another that we have been told.
I really want to see a Netflix special called False Prophet. Yeah. And it could be about like all these different people with all these different messages. And then people are just like sitting in the stands, like watching a tennis match with their heads going back and forth. And they're supposed to like somehow figure out like which prophet are you supposed to follow?
I think there should be a fucking game show called The True Prophet.
Right?
And basically there's like 50 fucking people and they all have a story. And there's no reason that anybody should know any of the stories, but you have to pick one. And if you're right, then you win.
Who wins?
Whoever randomly picks the right fucking prophet.
So it's just like any other game show. You like be lucky enough to be on the show? Or...
Yeah, you'd be lucky enough to be on the show, and then you'd be lucky enough to pick the right prophet. And they all walk around talking about how they're the right prophet. And they explain to you why they're the right prophet. So
it's kind of like that game, like Werewolves and I don't know, whatever it's called, where somebody...
Sure. Yeah, actually, that'd be a good way right? to do it. What's that? Yeah.
What is it called? It's the one where they pass out cards, right?
Yeah.
And like... You get a card and you're either
one of them's a bad guy.
Right, like one of the townspeople, like you're either a townsperson or
a werewolf.
You're a werewolf.
Right.
And nobody knows.
Yeah.
And like everybody's just like making random accusations.
No, I think that would be a fucking great show.
Right?
And it should be, you know, alluded to that we're kind of discussing religion with that show.
Right.
Right? Like,
but I'm telling you don't call it true prophet. You call it false prophet.
Well, okay. Whatever.
That's the only way it would fly.
But that's as random as this is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's how random this is.
You're wearing sandals. You probably are the real prophet. But this other guy, he's wearing Skechers. Totally not the prophet. You're the false prophet.
Right.
Like, defend yourself.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And then, like, if you lose that round and you're like one of the, you know, people who's not a prophet, then you get rained out because God likes to, you know, flood people out.
Or earthquaked out.
Yeah. You get smote.
You get smote. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And there could be like lifelines, like all the, I don't know, there could be like some priesty judge people, like judges, first and second judges, right?
Yeah.
And you can have so many lifelines that
I feel like there's a lot you could do with this.
There really is.
Yeah.
There really
Somebody's missing a thing here. It needs to be done.
Come on.
Even just like a YouTube channel doing this, right?
Right.
Somebody pick this up. Come on.
Like,
I don't have the time to do that shit, but somebody does.
Exploding kittens, people, you know?
Yeah.
Come on, pick this up. This is a great. I want to play this game.
I want to play it. Yeah, it's reality TV for the atheist, like atheist reality TV.
It's Survivor.
I hate reality TV, but that's a reality TV show I would watch.
It's pre-Jesus Survivor. Right? That's the tagline for it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, that was Micah chapter 3.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that today we're getting into
Micah chapter 4.
All right. Let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, we are about to jump into Micah chapter 4, but before we do that, I have something to say.
Okay.
So Micah only has 7 chapters. If I had said this right at the beginning, I would have said we were less than halfway through Micah. If I said this at the end, then we'd be over halfway through Micah. But because we're right in the middle of chapter 4, we are exactly halfway through Micah.
Technically,
right here.
Right at the beginning of chapter 4.
No, we're halfway through Micah. Fuck off. Because we did our intro and recording.
Sure.
And if you listened this far, you're going to listen to the rest.
Actually, 3.5 would have been halfway, wouldn't it?
Yes, that's
so that would have been like
are.
last chapter, halfway through it.
No, 3. That was all of 3 and a half. 3 plus a half.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
math.
Yeah.
Math.
I mathed bad.
You did bad mathing.
I did real bad math.
It was geometry.
I couldn't even count.
No, it was geometry. Bad. That's why. You had to stack blocks in your head.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it was trigonometry. I was really bad at that.
You were so bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so 3.5.
Yeah.
Ish.
Except
for that we haven't started the chapter yet.
You need to fuck right off. Seriously. All right. So ready?
I'm ready.
In the last days, the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established as the highest of the mountains.
In the last days. But not before that.
In the last days.
Okay, all right.
Highest of the mountains.
The highest.
Ain't no mountain high enough.
Right, yeah.
It will be exalted above the hills, and peoples will stream to it. Like the way we stream Netflix.
No, that's not what that means.
That's a different streaming.
Yeah, that's different streaming. Yeah.
The same but different.
Not even the same.
Nope, it is.
Just completely different.
I think it's the same.
No.
I'm
going to disagree with you here.
To stream Netflix. People streamed to that stupid fucking fight on Netflix.
That was terrible.
That didn't stream.
I'm going to take some of that class action lawsuit just because.
Right?
That was so fucking terrible.
Right? Who was it? That Jake Logan Paul boy?
Mike Tyson?
And Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I can never remember because those boys have 2 first name and last name. Like, both of their names are first names.
I don't give a fuck about either of them.
So I call both of them Jake Logan Paul.
Got it.
Because I don't know what their last name is.
I have no idea. I mean, like, I only know them because other people know them.
They're YouTube boys.
I know.
They started on Vine, I think.
I'm aware of what they are and who they are, kind of.
And they're fuck boys.
But I really don't want to have known about them personally.
Yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for their childhood. Like, apparently they were, like, put on YouTube right away.
Know way more than I do about these guys.
Well, I'm just saying.
Okay.
But I don't care for them. They're bullshittery. Yeah. I was already way too old for them when they came out.
Sure.
So, But, one could say the same about Markiplier, yet I think he's adorable.
Right. No, I like Markiplier.
And sweet and good.
Yeah.
And kind.
Seems
and generous.
Yeah.
Seems that way.
He's from our neck of the woods, actually.
He is. Yeah. I always forget that.
And he donates to a local hospital, like a children's wing of the hospital and stuff. It's really cool.
Hi, Markiplier.
Yeah. Shout out to Markiplier.
If you want to be friends.
Our kid would love to meet you.
Holy shit. That would be hilarious.
Maybe he secretly listens to our podcast. I mean, you never know.
You never know. He might be a closet atheist.
He would never admit it. We would never say it.
He'd have to care enough.
We would never tell Markiplier. I promise. No, you can reach out to us and we'll never tell.
And we would just take you out to lunch. But you're richer than us, so we'd all go Dutch.
But also thank you for donating to the local hospital.
Right. And all the other good things you do.
Yeah.
You're a good guy.
Also, one of my friends at work saw him at Guitar Center.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was he decent in public?
I don't think he had the nerve to go up and say hi. Oh. So yeah, I don't know. I would
say hi. I would be like, "Hello, Markiplier, young man."
I'm older than him, so I feel like I'd just be like, "What's up, Markiplier?"
Right.
Like, how's it going, man?
May I call you Markiplier?
Right.
How should I address you, sir? Sir.
I really had no idea we'd be doing such a long segment about Markiplier as we get up to this episode, but
funny.
Here we are.
Yeah. So he's cute, and I like him.
Right. Yeah.
He's a cute boy.
Good guy.
Okay.
Seems like it.
Yeah. Okay. So many nations, anyways. Many nations.
Yes.
Will come. Yeah, they will.
Jesus Christ.
And they'll say, "Come." Yeah, they will. "Let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the temple of the God of Jacob. Come, tell it on the mountain, over the hills and far away." Did you ever hear that song?
I have. Oh. I have. I like some of that old time gospel stuff.
Right? Like there's lots of hand clapping and
right. No, it's fun, Like
going back and forth,
I love the movie Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Mm-hmm.
And
it's got so much bluegrass and gospel
in it. Yeah, and that's some really great I love that soundtrack.
That's why a lot of people like Sister Act, because it's got some pop, but it's also got a lot of gospel music.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's a good soundtrack too.
Right.
He will teach us his ways so that we may walk in his paths.
The straight paths, not the zigzag paths.
Not the crooked paths.
Don't forget.
Yeah. The Lord is going to come and he's going to teach us his ways. We're going to walk on his paths. This is some more of that end days bullshit.
He didn't mention it here, but you got to watch out for the honey-lipped vixens also.
Don't mix it up. I'm trying to remind you guys
because
vixens.
Sometimes the Bible forgets to tell you these things.
Right.
And it's only in certain spots and they don't reinforce very well because it's bullshit.
Right, exactly. The law will go out from Zion. The Dukes of Hazzard law. The boys.
What?
The law.
Roscoe Pico train?
Yeah, he always goes, he's the law. And we'll send the law after those boys.
Or I guess his boss Hogg was the...
Yeah. The law will go out from Zion. The word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He will judge between many peoples and will settle disputes for strong nations far and wide. They will beat their swords into plowshares. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. There's the line. Yeah, I remember that.
And their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation. Oh, it's so sweet. It's cute. They're going to do peace.
It sounds that way. It sounds like he's saying God's going to help them do this peace.
Nor will they train for war anymore. Yeah, once that new God nation comes at the end days.
We're still waiting for that.
We have to wait for the end days before we can have
But
peace.
like a lot of people put this like they claim that the prophecy or whatever happened comes true in like the Babylonian exile. Mm-hmm. So apparently, according to that was end days, but also not.
Right.
Is that how we're going to interpret this?
Depends who you ask.
Okay.
I don't even know.
There's so many like just inconsistencies with what people claim from the Bible that I can't keep track of it all.
I can't hear that. La la la. None of it's true.
No. Yeah.
Everyone will sit under their own vine and under their own fig tree, and no one will make them afraid, for the Lord Almighty has spoken.
You know, in our part of the world, we don't have fig trees.
I have a note about that, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
It means a thing.
It's
not just
fig trees?
Yeah, it's not just like, hey, have a fig tree.
It's not like I don't want a fig tree, because when I was growing up, I really liked fig Newtons. Mm-hmm, and I figure if you have a fig tree, maybe you could make your own fig Newtons, right?
That would be
Is that
nice.
A thing that you could do? I don't know how that works.
I do love fig Newtons.
Yeah. But they tasted better when I was younger. I've tried them as an adult, and I'm not as much of a fan.
But I heard that figs are like a wasp that fruit grows around.
Not all. Some.
Oh, yeah. I think we had this talk the other day.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to all, but there are some figs that they're like basically the wasp crawls into them for some reason, and then the fruit grows around it. So there's basically wasp figs.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting.
The whole idea just it makes me think of The Life of Pi, the book or the movie. Actually, the movie was pretty decent, but the book was beautiful. And there was an island of trees that grew teeth.
Yeah.
It was just creepy.
Right.
All right. So we just read verse 4. Everyone will sit under their own vine and under their own fig tree, and no one will make them afraid, for the Lord God Almighty has spoken.
Right.
Okay. This is a proverbial expression that means prosperity and peace. And we've actually read this before, both in 1 Kings and 2 Kings.
Yeah, it does sound familiar.
In 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 25, it said, during Solomon's lifetime, Judah and Israel from Dan to Beersheba lived in safety, everyone under their own vine and under their own fig tree.
Sure.
And then in 2 Kings chapter 18, verse 31, it says, do not listen to Hezekiah. This is what the king of Assyria says. Make peace with me and come out to me. Then each of you will eat fruit from your own vine and fig tree and drink water from your own cistern. Okay. So it's just supposed to be, it's a saying.
Got it.
Like,
yeah.
You're going to have your own prosperity. You'll be fine.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
All the nations may walk in the name of their gods, but we will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever and ever. Interesting.
Yeah.
All nations are going to walk in the name of their gods.
Right.
But we will walk in the name of our Lord our God.
But I'm curious here, because he's claiming that God will bring peace to everybody.
All the gods will get along. And the people will...
But yeah, and also, like the part that you're mentioning here is like, we're still right here, because we're going back to the 800 BCE time frame, right? We're still talking about multitude of gods. And being acknowledged by the Bible at some level.
As people having different faith in different gods. Different nations having different gods.
Right. And in this particular instance, God is going to bring peace to the whole world, but they're all going to have their own gods. That's weird.
It's an acknowledgement of diversity.
Is it?
It is.
I think it's an acknowledgement of the times that they were in, and that there were other gods around them, and it was just a matter-of-fact statement that, yep, there's other gods in these other lands that
those people
don't have
believe
anything to
that,
do with us.
we believe this, and those believe those.
That's just how things work, right? It's not.
It's an acknowledgement of the diversity of different nations having different gods.
Right, and the avenues to, preach to other cultures about what you believe and convert them wasn't as easy back then. It's not something that was available as a normal, everyday type thing that you could do. So I don't think that converting people to your God was as much of a discussion as it maybe is today.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I don't know.
I find it interesting that the Bible can admit that different nations have different beliefs, but that God's going to be okay with that. But today, the people today cannot.
Yeah.
And their God cannot.
Yeah. Right. But I think when we first started reading the Bible, that was one of the things that I was like, whoa.
The Bible acknowledges other gods?
Yeah. Like I did not expect that to come up.
Right? Like, didn't see that coming.
Yeah. And I honestly, I don't really think that, I think that when a Christian reads the Bible, that gets glossed over.
Oh yeah,
like that's if they read the Bible, that gets glossed over. Well, I would imagine.
I think they probably bring their own tone to it. So they would probably say, well, yeah, the Bible is acknowledging that other people believe in different gods, but not that there are different gods.
No, and I think I thought of that myself, and I think that it could be a fair statement if done correctly.
It could be a fair statement if I could read their Bibles too.
Sure.
But you guys killed them all. So
no, if you're acknowledging that these people have a God and it's
belief in a God.
And it's different than yours, but and your argument is that maybe that God is the same God, right? Mm-hmm. Then that would kind of mean that you need to study all these different religions.
Right.
And figure out which bits you think all make this one religion and this one God, because that's the only way that makes sense.
Right.
Right? Like, otherwise, all the tombs, all of the fucking books would match
right.
with the same fucking books.
Right.
Right? They wouldn't be all different. It would be all the same.
It's so cute.
Because God would be like, this is God's word. This is what's what.
It's so cute. As long as you just don't look hard enough, then you don't have to.
Right.
See.
No, and that's, people either go really detailed, like the Bible says this, the Bible says that, and this is how I feel about that, right? Or they go real high and they're like, well, people believe in all kinds of different gods, but God is just way more powerful than human being. Like they just start talking to these airy,
they either
fucking
bury you
bullshit,
in details
whatever.
Or they leave all the details out, and it's just like whatever.
And you could be having a discussion with a person about the specifics and switch in the next breath to the airy bullshit,
and vice versa.
And I'm like, where did that come from, man?
It's whatever's convenient in the moment.
And they know you can't argue that. There's nothing to fucking argue.
It's an inability also to
admit they're wrong.
Well, no, more than that, it's an inability to think critically and to speak logically.
Sure.
It's the same way that people that practice these things, this methodology, this way of thinking long enough, can't even understand simple, basic analogies.
Well, I think Trump utilizes the mentality that a lot of Christian apologists use, and that's to double down on your fucking explanations and your beliefs, right?
And stupidity.
Right, but you're never wrong.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. You can't, and the Bible, the way that it's built and the way that people are indoctrinated
allows you.
They can't be wrong, because if they're wrong, they have to admit that God might be wrong.
Yeah, or that their interpretation, or that page, or that the Bible, or any number of things.
Right.
Your church, your pastor. I
really feel like this is why the MAGA crowd meshes with the Christian crowd a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there is this same mentality of we're never wrong. And as long as you just never admit you're wrong, you're good.
I just think it's really cute that he's making money off of them by selling them their own fucking book.
Oh, that was the most hilarious thing I ever fucking... When Trump started selling a Trump Bible, I was like, you have to be... Do you know how hard you fuckers are being fleeced?
Right?
Like, Jesus Christ, it doesn't get any worse than this.
Because it's got the Constitution in it, which is even funnier.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
It's hilarious.
That's terrible.
It's hilarious because, I mean, if I was a writer writing this story, I could not get away with how ridiculous and stupid that is.
Yeah.
Because that would never fly.
I wonder when he gets inaugurated this time if he's going to maybe swear on the Trump Bible.
Probably.
You think?
Oh, probably.
I'm very curious about that, actually.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. And then we'll find out shortly after that whether we still have a democracy or not.
Right. I mean, he's already said that, he doesn't mind if we... do away with the Constitution.
Right. So. Now, look, guys, I want to back that up a second because I am probably the least conspiratorial in at least this house about whether or not Trump is going to take over the U.S. or whatever and become king of all.
King of the world.
So I think that we're going to be fine. But, he says some shit that's just like, what?
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to do that. I'm just telling you what the dude said.
No, he says some crazy ass shit. He said
that he doesn't mind if we get rid of it because it doesn't serve his purposes. It's
also, we apologize for talking politics.
I don't apologize.
To our overseas friends who just kind of are pissed off at the whole situation over here.
We got too much going on for me to be sorry. I'm sorry that it doesn't sit with you. How about that?
I'm sorry that we, as a country, elected Trump as president.
Yeah, that is what I would be sorry about.
Certainly was not something we chose.
No, absolutely not. All right, let's continue this chapter. And now we are exactly halfway through.
Perfect. There we go. Okay.
The book of Micah.
There's the halfway Micah point.
Okay.
Yep.
Fuck off. In that day, declares the Lord, I will gather the lame. I will assemble the exiles and those I have brought to grief. Those I brought them to grief. I'm going to get them.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring them back.
You're going to bring them together. Okay. Yeah.
I will make the lame my remnant. Lame. Those driven away, a strong nation. Okay. The Lord will rule over them in Mount Zion from that day and forever.
All right.
As for you.
But this is the end of days thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
As for you, watchtower of the flock, stronghold of daughter Zion, the former dominion will be restored to you. Kingship will come to daughter Jerusalem.
Okay. That's going to require some digging in. I'm not really sure what that means.
I need some A's to these Q's.
I mean,
this is a Q&A.
I get the sentiment, but I don't really know
I need a breakdown.
I'm going to assume that he's talking about this eventual leader who's going to be.
Yeah, he's talking about a coming Messiah.
Right.
And Christians are very excited because to them, he's clearly talking about Jesus.
Sure. And the funny thing is, though, that Judaism does believe that there will be a Messiah, right? It's just not fucking Jesus.
Right.
And
they, I think, believe that he did maybe exist, but as a human, not
Jesus,
as...
maybe, not a Messiah.
Yeah,
but Jesus
that Jesus existed as a human, not a son of God any more than anybody else, and was a decent, okay prophet. He was a prophet guy.
I think that was a...
like any other.
Acknowledgement to get along with the Christians.
I agree.
If you ask me. But
I agree. They're probably like, oh, sure.
From what I understand, there's essentially no real historical proof of Jesus.
I thought that there was a question that maybe he did. I thought that there was.
There certainly isn't any consensus as to who exactly Jesus is.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of consensus about that there probably was a Jesus figure.
Right.
That is described in the Bible.
There was a dude walking around. There was a prophet guy walking around saying some shit.
But to point at what that means and who he is.
Right. And ascribe magic to it.
That's a whole different story because none of the early accounts of Jesus really match up the way they should. There's a lot of inconsistencies with regard to how Jesus is described and who, because they have to make him match.
Let's not forget Roman history too.
Sure. But they also have to make him match the prophecies if they want him to be, the Jesus.
The Jesus.
Right. So even if there was a story originally about this person, it's been twisted to fit the fucking prophecies.
Right. So it's like, okay, are we talking about human Jesus or like Jesus actual?
Right. Yeah. And then people throw in things like the Shroud of Turin, and it's just there's so much
shroud.
Well, it's the Shroud of Turin is one of those things that comes up in so many conversations, and it's been debunked over and over and over again. And now there are
crying statues, the weeping statues.
That was actually proven wrong too.
I know it was rust.
All right, yeah. But the Shroud of Turin was originally debunked back in the 80s, but then they found something else that might have caused that to be wrong, but then it's been pretty much debunked again since then. And come on, we're talking about a
magic
burned in image of someone's head on a piece of fucking fabric from thousands of years ago.
It's at
the best. And how are we supposed to believe that that's Jesus? Why are we supposed to believe that?
It's like when Jesus' face pops up on your toast.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
It's the original Jesus toast. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Did you ever have Jesus on your toast?
You know what? I did not, but I have had Hello Kitty on my toast.
Yeah, but that was because the toaster that we had was set up that way.
It was.
To burn the image.
And I'm sorry, but you can't tell me that somebody didn't take, like, even before designer fucking toasters, someone could take a fucking iron and just make a Jesus thing and imprint it on the goddamn toast.
I used Play-Doh molds and I made Jesus.
If you thought you could make millions of dollars by imprinting the image of Jesus on a piece of toast, wouldn't you figure out a way to do it?
I like how he always looks like a white guy.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
That is weird.
It is.
Why do you now cry aloud? Have you no king? Has your ruler perished that pain seizes you like that of a woman in labor? My favorite comparison of pain.
Yeah.
Writhe in agony, daughter Zion, like a woman in labor. For now you must leave the city to camp in the open field.
I thought we was just talking about bringing back the remnant.
Yeah, but now he's like...
Now we're killing people and they're writhing in pain?
I don't know.
Okay.
I forgot to pay attention and care.
Losing track here of what's going on because it seems all over the place. I'm going to have to do some Q&A on this.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening.
Right.
You will go to Babylon. There you will be rescued.
Oh, this was an edited version.
What?
Well, so this was an edited version. This is edited.
How do you know?
Because we were talking about the Assyrians in previous chapters, if we were talking about anybody. And now we're talking about Babylon.
Okay.
And the Babylonian exile is where they want this to happen because more things of what Micah says match up as far as prophecies with the Babylonian exile than they do with the time that he was in.
Got it.
So maybe he said Babylon, but more than likely this is edited to fit the fact that they want this to portray the Babylonian exile time frame.
I didn't know that.
Well, it was something you kind of went over when we got introduced. Like that was something that you kind of
But
covered.
I didn't know that.
I just extrapolated that idea from what you said.
I didn't realize that there were edits like that and that you would be like, that's edited. Like, I didn't know.
Oh, I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing based on what I know.
I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. And you're just like, yeah, that was edited. And I'm like, oh.
No, okay, let me clarify. I don't know that was edited.
Okay.
It seems like it could have been and probably was.
Okay. I don't disagree with you there.
All right.
But it was, you said it so matter of fact.
No, you're right. You're right.
What?
You're right. I should refrain from truisms when I'm speaking about the Bible in any sense.
What the fuck?
In any sense.
Yeah. Anyway, there the Lord will redeem you out of the hand of your enemies. Oh, we got enemies again. But now many nations are gathered against you. I thought we were at peace. We never get peace.
I thought God was going to bring the peace.
Oof.
Remember, he was going to bring all the nations together, right?
Yeah.
But then he had to save the remnant, and then he brought wrath and destruction, and then now he's saving them again from Babylon.
They say, let her be defiled. Let our eyes gloat over Zion. But they do not know the thoughts of the Lord. They do not understand his plan, that he has gathered them like sheaves to the threshing floor.
Oh.
Bringing in the sheaves, bringing in the sheaves. Rise and thresh, daughter Zion, for I will give you horns of iron. I will give you hooves of bronze, and you will break to pieces many nations.
That sounds familiar. Remember that statue that had the 12 pieces or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
That's similar. Like, because there was multiple different metals.
Yeah.
And they broke it like it was broken.
Yeah, and it represented different nations.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if that... Okay, this chapter specifically...
We need some
diving into. Because this is kind of...
I don't get any of it.
There's something going on here.
There's something happening. What is going on?
Definitely something happening.
All right, final sentence.
All right.
You will devote their ill-gotten gains to the Lord, their wealth to the Lord of all the earth. The end.
I see. It's easy for a prophet to say.
Right.
Who's gonna receive that wealth for them?
You see,
because I bet it's going to be the prophets.
You will devote their ill-gotten gains to the Lord. Anytime you say to the Lord, fill in the blank with whatever leader of the church
is. Going to be the Joel Osteens.
Yeah.
Going to be the, whoever.
Yeah. The guy that's on your TV asking for millions for his plane. You ever
seen that fucker's church and like what he drives and like
he
all this?
Makeup.
He's got a personal fucking plane. I'm like,
so much
you
makeup.
have no business speaking for the Lord.
No.
Quote unquote. Because, my God, you have more money than fucking God.
Yeah.
You are, that's ridiculous. The amount of wealth that you show is ridiculous.
That's the part that I don't get. Not only does he have all that wealth, he shows it off. Like, if I was going to be a quote-unquote false prophet, there is no way in hell I'd be flashy with my money that I dug out of the fucking donation dish.
But there's nothing more American than the prosperity gospel. You've heard of the prosperity gospel, right?
If you're rich, you're godly, the more godly...
Essentially, they justify being rich through the Bible, right? Like, they find...
God wants me to have money.
Yeah, and if you have money, you've been rewarded by God. That's, you know, like that. These are...
You're supposed to have it.
And, of course, that ties into... It's also very... and God loves America because we're capitalists and we love money here. So it's all about money, you know? It's all about the wealth you can acquire because God made that possible for us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you just want to be real fucking rich, real bad. And you love asking people to give up their hard-earned cash to send to you.
Yeah.
That's all. And you know what? If you push the American dream, people have been, you know, indoctrinated into this belief that in America, you can be anything and everything you ever wanted to be,
and
right?
If you don't, it's your own fault.
And I'm not saying that you can't rise up. You can rise up.
I mean, Hamilton sang about it.
Rise up. Yeah. But the truth is that right now, especially in the current political / economic climate that we're in, it's not as possible as a lot of people think it is.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not just a matter of like working your ass off.
It's not as easy as it was in, say, the 80s.
Right. No, you have to have some real ingenuity these days. And furthermore, it's going to get probably harder before it gets easier.
And it takes money to make money too.
Again, I'm not saying you can't make a name for yourself out of nothing. It happens. And we push those stories forward all the time. Because
we make the 5 representative of the whole.
Yes, because it's the fairy tale. It's the fairy tale, and it's the propaganda mechanism to keep people in their place and doing the work they're doing. Right? If you think you can get ahead, then you'll just keep showing up to work and you'll keep doing the things you need to do. Because if you work hard enough, damn it, you're gonna be able to have that slice of the American pie.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And that's just how it works.
You'll get a deluxe apartment in the sky.
The truth is, it doesn't work that way.
No.
But
no.
Now we're going back into politics. We're supposed to be talking about God. God sucks.
God's a dick.
That's all. And I don't know what the fuck this chapter was about. And I'm looking forward to finding out what it was about.
It was about bullshittery.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
All right. Well, that was Micah chapter 4. 4.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that I think we're just gonna. We haven't really discussed this. Are we going to finish the book before we do our weekly wrap-up and all that kind of stuff? Or are we going to break it into sections?
Let's do 2 Q&As. So let's let our next episode be a Q&A over chapters 1 through 4.
I like that.
And then let's have chapters 5, 6, and 7. We'll have a Q&A / wrap-up of the book.
Got it. Okay.
How's that sound?
I think that sounds good, and especially since there's so many questions about this specific
chapter 4. Yeah.
So that sounds like a good plan to me.
Okay.
So that being said, I guess we will be back tomorrow
with a Q&A. Over chapters 1 through 4 of Micah.
Perfect. All right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Husband!
Wife!
Do I know you?
You know me, but we've been gone for a bit.
We sure have.
Yeah.
Happy holidays. But I really can't even say it's all the holidays. Yeah, there was some Christmas and there was some New Year's and there was some illnesses and there was you working lots of hours. But also somewhere in there, I changed to a new medication.
Yeah.
And the problem is that it's giving me insomnia. So like for 3 or 4 days, I will not sleep at night at all. And then on that third, fourth, or fifth day, that night, I will crash. And then I will sleep the entire whole next day. Right.
Yeah. It's been causing some problems. So, that's what happened.
That's me. That's my fault. I'll take that. I mean, it's not my fault, but it's my fault.
Right. So that being said, let's remind everybody where we are.
Okay. Yeah, we're in the book of Micah.
Yep.
He's a prophet, but a minor one.
Yes.
And we've read the first 4 chapters, and so we're going to do the Q&A covering those 4 chapters.
Awesome. All right. And I think I'll be getting the weekly wrap-up out on Saturday after this one comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we should hopefully... We're really gunning for this to be back on schedule for next week.
Yes. Hopefully on Monday we'll be back with chapter 5 of Micah.
Yes. All right.
But for now it's a Q&A, not on Saturday. Someday we will do that correctly again.
All right. Let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, so Micah chapters 1 through 4.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of confusion as to when this shit took place.
Okay. All right.
Like, let me ask you this. Do you recall, when did you think that this took place?
I was thinking that this was in the 800 BCE time frame, I think. But it's been a while since we were doing the chapters, so I may be mistaken about that. So.
I think you're right. For some reason, it felt like it was around the Babylonian exile, but it wasn't.
Right. No, we had talked about that because that was something that you had brought up when you introduced Micah, as how the time frame was pre-Babylonian exile, but then people remixed it, I guess, to fit with the Babylonian exile because a lot of the stuff that he prophesies didn't come true until the Babylon, like it couldn't be made to come true until the Babylonian exile.
Yeah. So this stuff took place before the Assyrians.
Yeah.
And it's just very confusing because then, I was reading somebody's notes about chapter 4 in particular, since that was really confusing to us.
Yes, it was.
And they started talking about the Chaldeans, and I was like, hang on, what? And you're
like, I know when that was. That wasn't around.
Yeah, that's
this
wrong.
Guy. What?
Yeah. And so I did a double check, and this person was way off.
Right, but they had to make it match.
Right.
This is where the Micah remix happens.
Yeah. It just it was very confusing while I was studying it.
Confusing because multiple generations wrote different versions of this, or and then, contributed, I'll say, to this.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we've got fucking Christian apologists coming in and giving their 2 cents, and they're throwing shit into the mix that ain't right.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, stop.
I think honestly, the whole point of being when you are a Christian apologist or someone who is Christian who has studied the Bible enough to know that there are issues, right?
Yeah.
I think part of the whole MO is just to muddy the waters enough to where it could make sense.
Right.
Right. That's the whole, that's the whole way that they operate. They're like, well, if we could make this match here and that match there, we don't really care if all the points mix, but as long as we can make it sound like it does, then it could have happened.
But guess what? You know what?
What?
Those people, by their own rules, are false prophets. Literally.
Well, yeah.
Literally, they are false prophets. And let me explain how I know that and why. Because I did a study because I was confused. Is a false prophet somebody who makes shit up and just says that it's from God? Or is a false prophet somebody who actually hears legitimate words from God, but then does not deliver that message and delivers some other message instead?
Let me guess. The answer is yes.
The answer is both. Yeah. and I did not quite realize that. And I thought maybe that there was a differentiation, but no. If you're just making shit up and claiming that that's what God said, you are speaking on God's behalf, you're a fucking false prophet. And I'm going to start calling people that. You are a false fucking prophet.
Yeah.
Because, and it pisses me off because, like, I'm personally offended because I'm actually trying to learn the truth. You know, I want to know, hey, I don't want your fucking opinion. I want to know what actually happened. When you're asserting shit that is not backed up by facts or by logical leaps of like, we can assume this because of XYZ, and you're just like, whatever, I want it to be true. You're a false fucking prophet, and I hate you. How about that?
Yeah, no, I agree.
You know, I'm just like, oh, shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm on a. I was very I was personally offended when somebody started talking about the fucking Chaldeans. I was like, you totally need to kiss my ass. You're wrong. You're talking about the wrong people and the wrong times. And get out. Just go away. You're a false prophet.
Right.
All right. But let's talk about these fucking chapters. Okay? Yep. And, like, I cannot tell you enough how much I don't give a shit about Micah. Honestly. So, chapter 1 was about the judgment against Samaria and Judah. Okay? So, like, just for a brief summary, Micah begins that chapter with a call for all nations to witness God's judgment against Samaria, which is the capital of Israel.
Right.
And Judah,
which
Israel
is
being centered on Jerusalem.
Right. Yes. Israel we're referring to as the northern kingdoms, though, at this point. Not like the whole of what we currently call Israel.
This is early on. This is very early on in the 800s.
Yeah, they were still a split kingdom, though, at that point.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. And then... So Samaria with the capital of Israel, and then Judah, which is centered on Jerusalem. Okay.
Right, yeah.
And Micah describes God descending from his heavenly temple to bring destruction due to their idolatry and sins, but mostly just their fucking idolatry.
Right.
Because he cannot fucking stand if you give anybody else credit but him.
Right.
He's like, no, just me. Only me. I'm the biggest. I'm the best. My dick weighs the most. Which is funny because Kid was like literally just making us watch an episode of What Happens in the Shadows. Yeah. And what's his name?
Nandor.
Nandor was trying to take like the long sleep or the big nap.
Yes.
And the Council of whatever vampires. Like, I've only seen a few episodes, so I don't. I'm kind of hit or miss on that show.
Sure.
Anyway, the council came from Britain or whatever. And they were like, I heard he's got a big dick, and since he's asleep or whatever, or dead or whatever, let's just, like, prove it. And so they're, like, looking at his dick, and they're like, it's normal. It's just normal. And then they're like, maybe they mean heavy. And so dude, like picks it up to see if it's heavy, and he's like, it's just normal.
Right. Just for anybody who's new to listening, Kid is 20.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I guess that makes a difference. Sorry.
Right,
yeah. We don't just watch dick joke shows with like a child.
Right.
We call Kid
I
because
I'd clarify.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That bore an explanation.
Yeah.
Thank you for adding that.
Sure.
That 2 bits so that we don't get fucking child services called on us. 20-year-olds are allowed to laugh at dick jokes.
Yes.
Very much so.
Right. Yeah.
Like more so than I am at the age of almost 50. But I find dick jokes hilarious because I never grew up.
And we know.
We do know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So God and Nandor have the biggest dicks. Just kidding. Just God. God has the biggest dick.
Just kidding. Not God either.
No, right. Because God is a dick.
Right.
Were he to exist, which he does not.
Yes.
And yeah. So anyway, he's all pissy about their idolatry. So he comes down and he steps on mountains and he makes fucking valleys and whatever.
Yeah.
And Samaria's punishment is foretold in this super vivid imagery, including all of its ruins being left like a vineyard.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Right.
He uses like all of these metaphors and imagery, such as God treading the high places and mountains melting like wax. Okay. So there's like all this poetry there, right?
Right.
And it's supposed to be like beautiful. But he also uses all these puns, which we said at the time that it was phrased really fucking weird. And we were like, why is this phrase so weird?
Yeah.
Okay. It's because every single place there's a pun on it. Okay.
Okay.
So like he says, tell it not in Gath, weep not at all. In Beth Ophrah, roll in the dust. Okay. This is a play on words. It's like if, okay, so there's a place in Ohio, in Dayton, or no, not in Dayton. There's a place in Ohio named Lima. It's like if we said, you people that live in Lima, you're going to choke on lima beans. Right? That's what this is like, okay? So Gath is like, it's in Hebrew sounds like the word tell. So he's like, tell it not in tell. Okay. And then Beth Ophrah literally means rolling in the dust, or the house of dust. Okay. So he's like, in the house of dust, roll in the dust.
I see.
Boom. Yeah. Okay.
How very clever.
I know, right? Like back then, these puns and play on words, that's what made these prophets appear wise, that they could do this wordplay. They were like so fucking clever. You lima losers that eat lima beans, right? Yeah. Like, that would make me so fucking clever. I don't think that people in Lima are losers. I'm saying that because of the show Glee, which takes place in Lima, and they're known as the Lima losers from Glee. Sorry to Lima.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been up there, and it's quite a lovely little town. So I've visited.
I don't know much about Lima, honestly.
It's north of us. That's it.
No, I knew that.
It's 4 hours up 75 north of us.
Right.
So that's all I know about it.
Sure.
It's cute, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's more though, okay? So verse 11 goes, pass by naked and in shame, you who live in Shafir. Those who live in Zanan will not come out. Beth Ezel is in mourning. It no longer protects you. Okay, here's what some of that actually means, okay? Pass by naked and in shame, you who live in Pleasant. Okay. Isn't that funny? Because pleasant's the opposite of naked and in shame. That's so funny.
I'm not laughing.
Those who live in go out will not come out.
Oh, my God. For fuck's sake.
Right? I got more.
Yeah,
I got more.
Do you?
But that's why they were phrased so fucking weird. Okay?
I feel like God should have one of those, like, joke books that's not really funny.
Oh my gosh. Remember when Kid was really into jokes and we got them all these joke books?
I do.
And like, I just want to tell every parent out there, if your child is 3, you thought 2 and 3 was bad, which, okay, first there's the terrible 2s and you think that's bad, right? No, that's not bad. Right. It's fine. They're still a baby.
Yeah.
It's the 3s. It's the terrible 3s.
The fearsome 3s, I call them.
Yeah. They're horrible. Like they give 2 a run for the money. Like 3 is just fucking horror. I love children and I love my children.
Sure.
But 3 is fucking hell. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they come out of 3 and they turn 4 and they're little children and they have all these understandings and attitudes and beliefs and knock jokes.
Yes.
And the knock joke
are terrible.
They don't make any fucking sense and they go on for 2 years. From the ages 4 to 6, you will hear knock and then you have to say, who's there? And they go, air conditioner. And you go, air conditioner who? And they say, turn on the air conditioner. Ha 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 ha. And you have to laugh like it's the funniest shit you ever heard.
It's true.
And that was a good one. What I just gave you
that was better than most, yeah.
That was a good one because it slightly made sense.
It matched, yeah.
The words matched, right?
Yeah.
They'll say like cat who? Dog or coffee or house. Like they don't understand that like the words have to actually make sense and have a point.
Yeah, they're just like if I say knock and then a thing and then something else, it's funny, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's still better than the 3-year-old shit faces. I mean, they are so bad, you guys. 3 is so bad because they're still babies. They're still babies. They're toddlers, but they have brains and they think they know everything.
Yeah.
And they're going to tell you. And then when they hit 4, why? And you can't say, because I fucking said so, because that's what your parents said. And you don't want to be like your parents. You want to be better. You want to be more patient and kinder, and you want to actually treat them like the people that they are. But after the 100th time, you really do just want to say, because I fucking said, Jesus Christ, I don't know the answer. Go ask Neil deGrasse Tyson, okay?
Right.
Okay, anyway.
Well, I mean, that's the correct answer, right? You give them the capability of seeing the answer from somebody else.
But they just think that you know everything, but also don't know everything. And also, here's another one.
Okay.
If you tell them not to say something because that's not nice, you better never fucking say it because you gave them a rule.
Right.
And they don't connect it with the fact that you're the one who gave the rule. You don't have to follow the rule. You can actually break the rule because you're a grown up. They're like, no, but there's a rule. I don't care where the fuck it came from. There's a rule.
I got to say at some level, I don't blame them.
No, I know. But they learn the rule and that rule is there for life.
Well, yeah.
And they're like, Mom said, shut up. That's not nice. And it's like, I know, but I'm not. Or if you say, go to your room. I'm so angry with you right now. You need to go sit on your bed and think about what you did and understand why I'm upset with you. And then we'll have a talk, but mommy needs to calm down for a minute. Right. And then, so you calm down, right? And then you go tell them, okay, I'm ready to have a talk. Let's do this. And they're like, no, you said I have to stay in my room. And it's like, no, but I also am now telling you to come out of your room. No, you said I have to stay in my room. Like, no, come out now. Like, they're just kids. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just was remembering just some of the most frustrating things about children. They're so like...
You just got to meet them where they are.
You got to meet them where they are, but...
It was a lot easier than... I mean, I don't know. It's not... Our kid was pretty good.
Our kid was perfect, except, for when they weren't.
Sure.
Like, our kid was the perfect kid insofar as kids. Yeah. I love our kid.
You kind of went on a rant about, like...
Oh, no. Here's the thing. There's, like, kids in general, and the way they are. But our kid is awesome.
You were also describing raising a child. So, just wanted to make sure that people understood that our kid was pretty awesome.
Our kid did all of those things and more. And is the most awesome thing ever.
Yes.
Our kids stood at the top of the stairs and drew us telling them to go upstairs on a whiteboard and then drew them at the top of the stairs saying no and then threw that little whiteboard down the stairs as a note so that we could see a picture of us telling them to go upstairs and them saying no.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Frustrating in the moment. Awesome story forever.
Right.
All right. So verse 12 says, those who live in Moroth writhe in pain, waiting for relief because disaster has come from the Lord, even to the gate of Jerusalem. You know what it really means?
What does it mean? Those
who live in bitter writhe in pain, waiting for relief. Huh?
Yeah, that's fun. That's funny.
I know, right?
I'm laughing here.
Oh, these guys.
It's hilarious. I'm knee slapper.
It's a 4-year-old joke, right? It's as good as a 4-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, verse 13. You who live in Lachish harness fast horses to the chariot. You are where the sin of daughter Zion began, for the transgressions of Israel were found in you. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
That means you who live in swift beast harness fast horses to the chariot.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, get it?
I get it, but who? Why?
Because people in Lima, they're going to choke on lima beans. Get it?
It's so bad. It's so bad.
It's so bad. I was trying to think of more and I was like, nah, that's good enough.
Right?
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, but also... when he says that the the transgressions of Israel started in the daughter of Zion.
Yeah.
It's the prophecy seems to suggest that Lachish was the first city in Judah to receive the idolatrous worship of Israel.
Okay.
So I don't know why that should matter, but anyway, there it is.
Okay.
Bad Lachish.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. 2 more. Verse 14. Therefore, you will give parting gifts to Morsheth Gath. The town of Akzib will prove deceptive to the kings of Israel. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
The town of Deception
Oh my God.
will prove deceptive to the kings of Israel.
For God's sakes. This is so bad.
Verse 15.
Yeah.
I will bring a conqueror against you who live in Marshah. The nobles of Israel will flee to Adullam. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
I will bring a conqueror against you who live in Conqueror.
Oh my God.
Oh shit, it's so good.
I can't. I mean, this is really
so bad. It's really so bad. Yeah. So yeah, those puns are awesome. They're word plays on town names, connecting their fates to their meanings. And
by awesome, you mean shit.
Well, very much shit.
Yeah.
Especially by today's standards. But
right.
I'm telling you, back then.
Oh, this was gold. This was comedy gold, huh? This
was the height of intellect. Okay.
Wow.
This was Shakespearean.
Was it now?
Yeah.
You're sure about that?
It wasn't
just bad writing back then too.
It's part of what differentiated them, their ability to play with words and play on words.
Okay.
Proved how smart they were as to be prophets.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
I understand the words you're saying. I do.
It's hard to put them with the words that I already said. No,
I'm hearing the words that they wrote, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe they weren't as smart as they thought they were.
Yeah.
And I bet there might have been people even at the time going, I don't think they're as clever as they think they are.
Like, that's as funny.
Really dumb.
You're laughing so hard, and I'm not.
They're like looking around the room as everybody, I guess everyone, they're laughing.
They're like,
fuck.
Okay, so the destruction of Samaria occurred historically in 722 BCE by the Assyrians.
Sure.
Fulfilling these prophecies.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So chapter 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Woe to oppressors and a promise of restoration. So there he was like doing all this poesy and puns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he's condemning the wealthy and powerful who exploit others, seizing land and houses through unjust means. Okay. He's like, fuck all you assholes that are rich. You know, you're going to get yours.
Right. Which we kind of talked about like them, Micah promoting the poor
the rich.
Was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So God promises punishment for their greed and injustice. However, the chapter ends with a promise of hope. God will gather his remnant like a shepherd gathering his sheep. Yeehaw! Bah! And lead them to freedom. Okay. The chapter balances judgment with hope. And so you're supposed to get a little bit of both.
Sure.
A bit of both.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The image of a shepherd gathering the remnant ties to later Messiah prophecies, like in John, the book of John, where Jesus is described as the good shepherd. So there's that tie-in. Just an FYI. Okay. Not a big deal. Just putting that out there.
Sure.
Like, Christians love this shit.
Right.
Okay? All right. Chapter 3, corruption of leaders and prophets.
Okay.
Micah rebukes the corrupt leaders and false prophets of Judah.
Yeah.
Leaders exploit and devour the people, while prophets speak lies for personal gain. You know, false prophets.
Yeah.
Like I already talked about.
But yeah, we talk about this all the time. But like, I just don't know how you are supposed to tell. I really don't. Especially when someone's using such bad puns to describe, the fucking punishment that's happening.
I would be like,
what?
Oh, clearly I can put an X on you. You're not one of the
God didn't write that shit. Come on.
God would never.
Man. You made that shit up.
God would never.
You thought you were clever.
Yeah. Yeah. you wanted us to clap for you, and that's silly. No. Obviously you're not a prophet.
We could at least look back at it now and be like, yeah, if there was a God, he didn't write that shit.
No.
That was bad.
Not. Yeah. Yeah. I fully believe that some dude put this down and thought he was in love with dad jokes. Except, here's the thing. I love me a good dad joke.
Sure.
These were not dad jokes.
They were not. Yeah, they weren't even on par.
No. All right, so God declares that because of their corruption, Zion, a.k.a. Jerusalem, will be plowed like a field, and the Temple Mount will become a heap of ruins.
And this is what I was talking about earlier that does not happen in a timely manner, right?
Right.
So this is where they have to draw in the Babylonian exile.
They're like, but it happened later, though.
Right. Yeah.
So Micah's tone here is super harsh, okay? He's like bitching and yelling and stuff.
Right.
He is likening leaders to butchers who tear flesh from bones.
Yeah, well, they were talking about eating babies or eating people or whatever and stuff.
This chapter particularly exposes the systemic injustice that was happening at the time and is pointed to as an example of where the Bible is particularly against and opposed to slavery, because there's a whole part where he says that the bones of the buildings are the bones of the people who built it, and the blood of the people who were forced to. He's talking about the slave trade.
No, and well, is he though? Because we're talking about 800 BCE-ish time frame, and at the time there were still Israelite slaves that were they were basically the indentured servants of the time, right? They were, remember how there was the Jubilee and they got released on the 7th year and yada, 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 right? So there was a mixture at that time of these two types of slavery. And while they may be okay with one, they might.
Right. It's not out and out opposed to all slavery altogether.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. I'm certainly not trying to say, yeah, the Bible's totally against slavery. I'm trying to say this is where somebody would point to an example and say, no, the Bible is against slavery. See, because in chapter 3, verse 9, it says, hear this, you leaders of Jacob, you rulers of Israel, who despise justice and distort all that is right. Verse 9, who build Zion with bloodshed and Jerusalem with wickedness. So when they build up Zion with blood, it's an allusion to the slave dealers who, by the gains of this traffic, have built houses, businesses, places of worship. The timbers of the buildings are the bones of the very people enslaved to build them. And the mortar is the blood of those defenseless slaves. Okay. So again, I'm not trying to say that the Bible is opposed to slavery. Clearly, it is absolutely not.
Well, and it doesn't strike me as completely odd that some random minor prophet might have a problem with slavery.
Well, I mean, he was against the people in power.
Right. So this is particularly this one who is standing up for the poor of the time would probably be an advocate.
And oppressed.
Right. Would probably be an advocate for not doing slavery.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I would not say that the Bible is anti-slavery. I would say that Micah had some beef with it.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. I can get down with that. But to say that the Bible's against it or God's against it is just disingenuous.
Totally. Would never try to say that in a million years. Just trying to point out, like I said,
to be fair,
right? You know, and good on him in that one place at that one point. Yeah, assuming that's actually what was intended, what he felt, and what he was saying. Right. Yay for Micah. Yeah, he's a weirdo, but
he got that one right. But he got maybe
right. He might have got that one right.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. The prophecy about Jerusalem's destruction is echoed in Jeremiah 26, verse 18, and is supposedly later fulfilled during the Babylonian conquest, which was 587 to 586 BCE. Yeah. I had something else I wanted to say. Yeah, and we totally read that later, like when we were back over there.
You mean earlier when we were in Jeremiah?
No, when we were reading chapter 3, I actually read those Jeremiah verses.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I got
so I'm not going to reread those again. Right. But I will say that with regard to verse 12, the Masoretes in their division of the Bible reckon all 12 minor prophets as one book. So they put all the minor prophets together in one book. Okay. And they put Micah chapter 3, verse 12 as the very middle verse of these prophets, which is interesting. Yeah. So, All right. Now moving on to chapter 4, which we were like, I'm so sorry, but the fuck?
Right. Yeah. No, 4 was... The fourth chapter was really
It was
odd.
rough.
And that's where we're like, we need to do a Q&A.
Yeah. Yeah. We were like, pause.
Yeah.
And then we went on vacation and...
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this chapter is about the mountain of the Lord and future peace.
Sure.
Okay. And this is where Jesus freaks start coming out and saying, see, he's totally talking about the Jesus to come.
Yeah, except for that I don't believe that this was actually written back in the 800 BCEs.
Right.
So...
Totally don't disagree. Yeah. So in stark contrast to the previous chapter, Micah chapter 4 shifts to a vision of future restoration and peace, which is like just so out of place and weird.
Yeah.
The mountain of the Lord, which is considered to be Zion, will be exalted above all others, and people from many nations will seek God's ways. Instruments of war will be turned into tools for farming, symbolizing an era of universal peace. The chapter concludes with a promise that the exiled will return and God will reign forever. Okay. Mm-hmm. The chapter contains one of the most beautiful prophetic visions of peace shared with Isaiah chapter 2, verses 2 through 4, almost verbatim.
Which I feel like you read when we were in that as well.
I did. So I'm not going to do a repeat. Yeah. But yeah, they either copied from the same source or Micah was inspired by Isaiah, or God spoke to both of them, or some shit like that.
Well, who came first, Isaiah or Micah?
I thought Isaiah came first. Am I wrong?
I think Micah might have been before Isaiah, actually.
Okay, then vice versa, whatever.
Okay.
Either one of them was inspired by the other, they both got their info from a similar source, or God spoke the same words to both of them.
Got it.
You get to decide.
Sure.
You choose.
Right.
This vision is often interpreted as pointing towards the Messiah era and the ultimate reign of God. Okay?
Okay.
Like reign as in God in charge, not like rain from the sky. Like God is, pouring rain all over us.
Right. I was wrong. Isaiah came first.
That makes sense.
Micah came after Isaiah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Whichever. Who cares?
Yeah.
The vision of nations streaming to Zion is echoed in the New Testament in the book of Revelation, and it describes all the nations coming together to worship God. So there's that little whatever. So in Micah chapter 1, verses 10 through 16, like I said, it's famous for its Hebrew puns, like totally famous.
Yeah, right.
Like we're talking, everybody talks about it.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to know that. So that might come up on the Q&A. So remember, it's chapter 1, verses 10 through 16.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And these puns would have resonated deeply with the original audience, reinforcing the message in memorable ways.
But not to us anymore.
No.
Which takes away from the written by God thing, right?
Yeah.
Or
because it doesn't.
Like it has no relevance.
Like
to
who
us.
Cares?
Right.
Big good one, God.
Yeah. We're all real excited about that pun from thousands of years ago.
Right. Micah's words are often echoed or parallel by other prophets.
Okay.
For example, his vision of peace in chapter 4, which we just covered.
Yeah.
It mirrors Isaiah, and his rebuke of corruption is kind of similar to Amos and Hosea.
Got it.
So
just to be clear, Isaiah and Micah prophesied. Well, Isaiah started before Micah, but they were during the same kings. So they were kind of active at the same time.
Okay. So yeah, they probably had the same source of material.
Right.
That totally tracks.
Yeah.
Micah lived during the time of Assyrian dominance, witnessing events like the fall of Samaria in 722 BCE, and his warnings to Judah may have actually influenced King Hezekiah's reforms, as mentioned in 2 Kings chapter 18.
Right.
Okay. Micah chapters 1 through 4 paints a vivid picture of divine judgment tempered by hope, rich with poetic beauty, historical resonance, and theological depth. I don't know about all that.
Theological depth, huh?
I don't know about all that.
Is that because of the puns or?
I don't know where, whatever.
Yeah.
It sets the stage for understanding both the immediate consequences of sin and the ultimate restoration of God's people. I had one more thing I wanted to say that I need to find. Okay, so do you remember the people sitting under their own vine and their own victory?
Yeah. Yep.
That was echoed more than once in the Bible as meaning prosperity and peace.
Right.
Which I read a couple of places where it comes up, but I just wanted to reiterate that that's a big thing as well.
Sure.
Where it says in chapter 4, verse 5, all the nations may walk in the name of their gods, but we will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever and ever.
Right.
Like, that had to have been added later by like either pre-Jesus or super Jesus-y people.
Sure.
Because it's so like, here he comes.
Right.
Y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
After the captivity, the Jewish people walked in the name of Jehovah alone and acknowledged no other object of religious worship to the present day. They all came together, those Jewish people.
Yeah.
And they were like, Jehovah forever, no other gods. We don't do any of that Asherah pole worship stuff.
Sure. I mean, at some point it happened, I guess.
Yeah.
But, you know.
So they're like, nope. After the captivity, they got rid of all their idol worship.
I imagine that there was probably a revitalization of their religion at that point, and that's why there was a lot of these texts and things like that. Like they definitely made a big push to make God at that point, right?
Yeah.
So
they were like, we have got to get these people together.
Right.
Yeah. So Micah sees the people in captivity as a flock of sheep that have been attacked, injured, and scattered. And the remains of this flock will be gathered together again, healed, and brought back to their own land to become a strong nation once more. And that again alludes to Jesus being a shepherd of all of his lost sheep.
Got it.
You know, or Little Bo Peep, whichever you prefer, because she also has lost sheep.
She does. From what I hear. Yeah.
So, let's see. Another illustration of the triumph of God's people is given in the form of a vision, and that's at the end of chapter 4, where the prophet sees the overthrow of a great army that besieges Jerusalem. The army is composed of soldiers of many nations who await their chance to break down the walls and plunder the city. They scoff at the people and dishonor the king, not realizing that God has brought them together so that he might destroy them all the more easily, all in one place at one time.
I see.
They will be punished by God's almighty power, crushed as the grain on the threshing floor is crushed under the hooves of the oxen. And that's where we got that, like, remember they were talking about like the metal hooves and the metal. Yeah, that's what that's supposed to be an allusion to.
Got it. Well, and that reminded me of that statue that was in that one. Yeah. I don't remember which book it was, but
I did not see anything tying it to that. Doesn't mean that it's not. Sure. Like, remember you picked up on the whole, that's totally, he's doing a magic spell during that one way back when, right. And we couldn't find anything to back that up.
I would imagine there's probably some symbolic meaning to these different metals and these, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be directly tied,
right?
But maybe there was some symbolism built into those types of metals and things like that for the time. I don't know, but that's what it felt. It felt similar, so that's all I was saying.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that, but that's just how I felt about it. So is that all we got for the Q&A?
That's Q&A, Micah Chapters 1 through 4.
Okay.
Call it done.
Yeah, so that was our Q&A for today. I will get the weekly wrap-up out here for tomorrow. And then we'll be back on Monday with...
Micah Chapter 4. 5.
Yeah.
Chapter 5. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oops, I mean 5. 5.
We'll see you then.
Bye.
When you're part of a military family, you understand sacrifice and support. So at American Public University, we honor your dedication by extending our military tuition savings to your extended family. Parents, spouses, legal partners, siblings, and dependents all qualify for APU's preferred military rate of just $250 per credit hour for undergraduate and master's level programs. American Public University, value for the whole family. Learn more at apu.apus.edu/military.
Hey wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my god. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.